Yeah. What's up? And welcome to another episode of I'm Will Bryant. As always, I'm your host. I'm Will Bryant. And this right here is a little bit of a special one. I told you guys goals 2024. Gonna have more guests on this show. And I'm delivering on that goal right away. Because we've got a special one today. I'm not alone, or I won't be. I have my first guest of the new year. I've only had a handful of guests on this show. So she's amongst rarefied air, if you will. But with me today is Gia Bonello. Or she will be joining me shortly, I should say. I'm recording a little intro here, because you guys are just gonna jump right into a conversation that we had. It's a long conversation, so sit back, relax. Play the podcast while you're driving or working or commuting. This one's gonna be a while, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it. This is it takes me back to when I really first started podcasting. Before, you won't find these episodes on I'm Will Bryant. I had about 10 episodes that I recorded years ago. At this point, it was probably 2019, 2020, where I would just have my friends over and we would literally talk for 2.5, 3 hours every time. Hell, me and Keith once spoke for like 5.5 hours and had to cut that into 2 episodes. It reminded me of that. I had the intention of making this about an hour and a half conversation, and literally about an hour and 45 minutes in, I realized that we have barely even touched on the entire reason she was here. I was too enthralled learning about her upbringing, the way she got into acting. We learned how Gia went to the NYU Tisch School of Theater. So, no amateur here. We talk about life in NYU, life growing up in Brooklyn, what got her into theater. And we talk about, eventually, the main reason she was here on the show. She is producing her own play. It's a play written by someone else, but she's producing the play herself. She casted it. She got the crew together. She hired a director, and she's starring in the play. And we're going to talk about that when the play's out, when you guys can see it. Join me, because I'm going to see it myself this Thursday. But we get into all that and a lot more. She's a coworker of mine from the Cellar, so we talk about that a little bit. The conversation was very free-flowing. We kind of just let ourselves talk about whatever we wanted to. And I personally had a great time. The time for me went by like that. She didn't seem like she was overly annoyed by me too, so there's that. It was a good time. I've never talked to someone that produced a play before, so that was pretty enlightening to me. Cheers to myself. So that was it was new and it was different, and I enjoyed it. And like I told you guys, I was gonna reach out more. I was going to reach out to more people and invite them on the show. And I'm glad that I was able to deliver on that goal, on that promise this quickly. So be prepared for more of these. In fact, I'm pretty sure following this one, we're going to get another special episode with another guest. And probably even another one right after that. I've got a nice little schedule here of people that are actually willing to talk to me, to come through, to throw down on this podcast. And I really feel like it's going to be a lot of fun. I had fun doing this one, and I'm going to have fun doing some more. I really want to keep this intro short and sweet, because the rest of the podcast is anything but. It is not short. It is sweet, I guess, but we go into it. We talk. So, if you're in a rush, go watch a YouTube short. But if you're ready to just chill and learn about what goes into producing a play, learn about life at NYU Tisch, life at the Cellar, then sit back, crack open a beer, or brew yourself a pot of coffee, whatever you want. As long as you join us, chill, and listen. Without further ado, guys, here's my conversation with producer extraordinaire Gia Bonello. Do you know what flavor you want?
Washington chili. Well, Washington.
What a start.
Watermelon. That's what I want.
I honestly, I looked up because I was like, I don't think she heard the question correctly. Where did you grow up?
Where did you grow up? Washington Square Park.
So you want watermelon chili?
Watermelon chili.
Washington.
What I was going for.
All right, that's a really good start. I've done these before on the show. They're perhaps my most pretentious drink that I like. This and Peronis. This is Flying Embers. I always announce what I'm drinking on the show.
Okay, I heard. Yeah.
As if I'm sponsored by them. I never am, but it makes me feel a little less guilty for drinking on the show. Because I pretend like I'm educating a crowd on what I'm doing.
Cool.
All right, so I'll do pineapple cayenne, and here, I'll be a good bartender and give you that.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
I was wondering if you were going to want to drink on the show.
A hard seltzer ain't hurt
Cheers.
nobody. Thank you.
I was ready with coffee too, just in case, because I kind of have to drink something besides water when I do these. I don't know if it's the addict in me that needs some stimulant.
Sure.
But I'll down coffee. Like if I do this before work, and I'm trying to behave, then I won't do the beers. I'll do coffees. But speaking of work, we are both at the Comedy Cellar.
Yes.
Oh, I do have a general rule of thumb for this show is I definitely don't talk about stuff from the cellar that could get us fired, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I think that's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah. I was recording the show when I quit my last job and when I got hired at the cellar. Like it's documented in episodes.
I saw.
And this makes me feel weird that you saw. I
did some research. Are we rolling, by the way?
Yeah,
okay. I did some research. You know, when you asked me to come on, and like, I know that you represent Queens. I know that.
This means you researched a whole 2 episodes.
I saw the title. I listened to some. I saw the titles of when you quit, when you started the Comedy Cellar. I do want to say. I did hear you say that your resolution for this year is to just like keep on keeping on and like being better, and I think that that's really admirable and great because I personally, that's why I hate New Year's and New Year's resolutions, because I'm like, I think you can decide to make changes to your life any day, and I don't see the significance of like.
Do you?
Do I think?
Yeah. No, do you? I know you think. Do you do that?
I do. I do. I'm the type of person who has to learn shit the hard way. I have to get really sick of something, or sick of my doing something, sick of feeling a certain way. So I need to make the same mistake over and over again to really learn from it, and then not do it.
And change your habits.
And change it. And it doesn't always coincide with January 1st, believe it or not. So
I'm the type of person that finds any reason to procrastinate a little bit. And I don't even mean on like life decisions. I mean like if my girl tells me to take out the garbage, I'm going to find 4 reasons why I should wait a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And something so dumb like I'm going to make a life change, but it's a Tuesday. I should really start on a Monday. At the beginning of a week. And then I gave myself 6 days, and by the 7th, I forgot that I was going to change my life. So I think I stopped making huge changes on January 1st because I realized I failed at those changes like I do every other thing. So
yeah. I mean, I can relate to that. I can relate to not wanting to be, I'll say this. When other people force me to change, or I should say when other people impose like a deadline on me, I can stick to that. Mm-hmm. It's when I need to set my own schedule or set my own deadline or do something because I have a willingness to do something. That's really hard for me to start and stop. So yeah, oh my God, the start. I should really start on a Monday and then I don't stick with it, and then I'm like, well, no, next Monday. Like, I do that all the time.
Or if it's like the 21st of the month, I'm like, I'll just start next month. You know?
Yeah.
Do you procrastinate? Are you a procrastinator?
Yes. Yeah.
Have you read these things that are saying that procrastinators are actually like, I swear to God, it's something that a procrastinator came up with, but it's like if you procrastinate, you're not actually lazy, you're actually extremely efficient and immensely creative or something like that.
Oh, that's interesting. I've heard of procrastination as like an avoidance thing.
Like
you're not doing something because you're avoiding you're afraid.
I always thought it was avoiding work, but then when someone else said it's not laziness, it's more about being under pressure, I was like, yeah, sure, that's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely work better under pressure.
Okay.
So I think I think procrastination lets me off the hook because I'm not really under pressure yet. I'm going to be, and that's when I'm going to do well.
You strike me as a responsible person in general.
I am a very, yeah.
Even amongst our crew at the cellar, you're pretty new, relatively speaking, but you already have the reputation of being way more responsible than pretty much all of us already.
Yeah.
I like that you're not even surprised. You're like, yes, I am aware of this. I know.
Yeah. I mean, my mom literally this afternoon was like, you're so responsible on the phone. I swear to God. I know that's I have to sneeze.
You're allowed. I have this podcast is a living recording of how often I'm sick, and I think we're episode 48. 26 I've been sick for. Like
really?
Oh, it's bad, dude. People will go out of their way, bless you. Maybe it's my show that does it. Maybe this is the commonality, because now suddenly you're sneezing and you were fine right before.
Well, I am. I didn't say this. And I'm okay.
Oh no, are you allergic to cats?
I'm a little allergic to cats.
I might have like Zyrtec around if you need that.
I think I'm gonna be okay.
Okay. I should have mentioned that.
It's okay. It's okay.
I forgot.
It's okay.
I'm learning.
I think my exposure, I've had exposure to like friends who have cats too. Like I've been in their apartments, and I think that I just need exposure therapy.
Yeah, I believe in that, because I used to be really allergic to cats too, and now I'm a cat person. Like,
yeah. I think there are certain allergies you just, to fight it, you need to just be exposed to it all the time. So
I couldn't agree more. So let's get you some cats and let's fix this. How do you live in Brooklyn? How are you a woman in Brooklyn with no cats? This is in theater too. At that,
I'm more of a dog person, I think.
Get out.
Though I didn't grow up with animals.
Get out even more. Because I grew up with a dog at least.
No.
We're not even gonna mention your play. You're done. It's an 8-minute podcast.
The play is not about animals, just so we're clear, at all. But no, my parents my mom grew up with animals, but my dad is super Italian and like does not believe in like animals in the house.
Is that an Italian thing?
I don't know if it's an Italian thing or if it's a him thing. They're really old school.
You kind of just threw down, you cast shadows on an entire race of people. You're like, Italians and animals, no good.
I don't know. I don't know if
I've never heard that. I don't know. Although now that I think about it, I did there's a lot of Italians in my school. I don't really remember a lot of them having, definitely no cats. I don't know.
Yeah. Even there, I mean, the culture of, my family is super old school. Also, like very traditional.
You grew up in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Brooklyn. Traditional, old school. Yeah, I mean, my dad grew up in Sicily and like immigrated here in the 70s, but like they had like a goat. Like that was their pet. And the goat was outside. The goat was outside. They milked the goat. They played with the goat.
Did it have a name? Do you know if it had a name?
I don't know.
Okay.
No, I don't know. I'm sure that at some point they ate the goat. Sorry for those who are sensitive, but like that's just the reality of
Italian
the
families.
1970s in Sicily before like socialism hit, before like, and then they came here. So my dad didn't really believe in like having an animal in the house, but
you couldn't eat it eventually.
No, that's a no. That's a no. Rabbit, yes, like, but no, no eating of dogs, no. But I have family members on my mom's side who have dogs and stuff. Yeah, I think I'm just not a cat person.
I'm not gonna hold that against you. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I love how this also turned into like I have gay friends. I know black people. I'm not.
Is that what that turned into?
It sounded like that. You're like I have friends. My family, they used to have a cat once, and back home in Sicily in the 70s there was a goat. No name, but we had a goat.
We had a goat. I'm sure there were cats around. There are lots of people like I know some people now who live in Italy, and they're like the cat lady. Like they feed all the stray cats. They're like the but of they like feed the cat. Like they're that person.
I never understood the appeal of being a cat lady until like 2 years ago.
What's the appeal?
I don't think it's so much an appeal about an outward opinion in. But every time that those cats that I have in my backyard, I had to get the mom fixed because she had 3 different litters of cats all in my backyard.
Oh, boy.
So that's like 12 cats that I've seen go from like kitten to like adult, and they've moved on to other places. And the 2 that I have are 2 kittens from my backyard. I grow an attachment to each one of them, like genuinely. And I get like all sad when I realize like, oh, they're finding other yards now with maybe some more food, or I know for sure some of them get scooped up and, hopefully go to a good home. I'm at the point where like, if there's a cat outside, I'm kind of like, I have space inside for it, right? But also every time that I see a video of like a raccoon, I'm like, we could probably do a raccoon or a tiny bear, like any animal. I'm like, we could probably, so that movie, We Bought a Zoo with Matt Damon, I understand it 100%.
Yeah.
So I can see like being rich and being like, I can have all the cats and they'd all be fine. It's more of a, and I don't want to say like, oh, I love all of them. It's a weird, unhealthy like attachment to all of them in a way. Even the ones that don't show me affection, like they'll only come around and swipe at me and cough. I'm like, oh, that's fluffers, good old fluffers.
Yeah. Well, I have 2 questions. One, did you grow up with animals?
I always had a dog.
Yeah.
I've grown up with 2 different dogs. When one passed away, we eventually were gifted another one. And that one still lives with my parents now. Besides that, I did have a hamster at one point, and even someone gave us a bird. And the bird I had like 0 attachment to early on, and like eventually I grew a very like, we used to let it fly around, and it would literally land on my head and just chill on my head while I was like playing PlayStation or something like that. So I didn't think you could get like close to a bird, but like it definitely happens too. So I've had some animals, but dogs for sure.
Yeah.
Never had or was interested in cats until I moved here.
Do you, my other question was like, do you feel like it's feeding like a parent? Like, do you feel like a parent? Do you feel like it's filling a I shouldn't say a void. Do you feel like it's filling, because I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's filling that need to like nurture and take care and love?
I don't know if I have that need. Me and my girl actually have been pretty open about a lack of desire for that. We don't really, if we ever talk about kids, it's about not having kids.
Sure.
Or, we're always like, oh yeah, our friends had a baby. That's so good. And then we'll look to each other and be like, that absolutely no way. Absolutely not. Is that in our cards right now? And I'm like, thank you. They're like, we're the type of assholes that like, we'll see our friend's Christmas card with the whole family and be like, oh, that's so nice. And then we'll put it on our fridge and be like, man, their life is over, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I know that like that once you have the kid, they're like, oh, it changes your life. This is and that. We just don't want our life changed like that. Mm-hmm. So I think if anything, the cats we know it's not filling this void that we're desiring. It's just enough of a quench of any type of desire to have that feeling, you know, of like, because we do come home and we are like, oh, we can't wait to get home to our cats and just cuddle with them or whatever. I'm sure if you have kids, that feeling is probably like times 10, right? But we're good with just the cats and Netflix for now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think if anything, it's, you know, and look, we don't even want a dog because that's going to be too much work.
Of course.
Like we wouldn't be able to go out the same way or you know, walking it. Like we don't walk these things. They crap in sand in the bathroom. Like and then clean them. So we don't even have to wash them.
They're low maintenance.
Yeah.
They're low maintenance children.
We literally have two of the most low maintenance animals around. We have the cats and then a turtle we found in a garbage. Like, I mean, we're not exactly out there being Steve Irwin and saving like the hard animals and shit. If it takes a lot of work, we're just gonna like, let's pass on that.
Sure. Well, I think what inspired me to ask that question was you saying like some of the cats don't even like me. But I have a relationship no matter what.
This is kind of true.
And that's like that feels like unconditional love a little bit. That feels like even if you don't like me, I'm here for you as long as you want me to be. And then
I like that they rely on me.
Yeah.
I like that they're like, you know, it's not even that they don't like me. That's just because a lot of the cats do like me, but the ones that didn't know me from when they were young, that have already been feral, those are the ones that they have the street sense still in their heads. They're like, I don't get too close to that guy.
Yeah.
And even though like the amount of distance that they keep from me now compared to when we first met is way different. Like they do trust me more, but they're still like, nah, you're not gonna pet me, you know. Mm-hmm. I still have love for them because it's like, oh, you used to run away from me. Like now you wait while I pour you your food. But he lives in the backyard, you know, like he just, you know, while one of them is nestling up against me and like asking me to pet it, the other one's just standing at a distance like, look at this dumb cat. For being friends with him, just, you know, that cat knows he feeds us. I'm here for the food twice a day. Besides that, don't touch me. The other ones, they're like, oh, it's the one that gives us pets, and then they start like, you know, nestling and whatever. So there's levels to the cats in the back. Yeah,
I think this is very sweet. I'm very touched by hearing about this. I don't know that I want cats, but I really enjoy hearing you talk about this. This is so sweet.
I never had
so
that.
Endearing.
Also, do you know that one of my stray cats in the back is the entire reason that I like went viral online and have those numbers and anything?
This feels familiar, but
remind me. On the surface, if you visit my Instagram, you may be fooled into thinking like, oh, he amassed 18,000 followers, you know, by consistently posting about his podcast, and fucking lies. Absolutely not.
Sure.
I amassed that by posting 1 7-second video of a cat in my backyard. I want to lie to everyone and be like, I work at my craft.
Marketing genius.
Yeah, it's like when I first got hired, Greg followed me on Instagram. Like literally the first day we went to Ale House, and he was like, so how'd you get there? Like consistency? And I was like, fucking cat. And he just started laughing. He's like, what? And like we scrolled through it, and no one ever really. When I tell them the number, they think I'm exaggerating. Cause like, what would you say? A viral video. How many views would it need for you to call it like a viral video?
I'd say like at least 20 to 25K.
Okay.
For me, because that's, yeah.
I thought you were going to say 20 to 25 mil.
No.
And I would have been like, hey, that's a pretty popular video.
Sure.
This 7-second video has 103 to 104 million views on my Instagram.
Dude. And
it happened... It got to like 1 million in like a couple of days. I was outside smoking a joint, and one of the kitties, really young, maybe about a month old, if that. It had a cold. We had actually just brought it in, because it was very friendly. It let you pick it up, no problem. We had just brought it in and like cleaned its nose. They had a bunch of boogers on its nose. We had to clean it so it could breathe properly.
Oh.
Yeah, we were like just cleaning it up, making sure it was okay. I forgot if we gave it some type of like medicine or something like that. We had just taken care of it, and then we brought it back outside, and I put it down and I like sat down near it, and it always liked to like crawl or like walk near me while like I chilled outside and smoked or whatever. And he found this little sun spot like that the ray was just shining. He just stood there and just let the sun he just basked in the sun. And I just recorded it like while smoking a joint. I posted. At the time I was trying these things like posting certain things at specific times and
Sure.
you know doing hashtags whatever. This I didn't give a fuck what time I posted it. I don't even remember what I hashtagged it, if anything.
Sure.
I just put it up and then just whatever. And then I go inside and my girl's like, are you seeing this? And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And like within 10 minutes, it was already at a couple of thousand. And I was lucky if I got like 1,000 or 2,000 at the time.
Yeah.
I remember thinking like, oh, my first goal, like I can't wait to get like a video to 10K. And then this one got to 10K and I was like, wow, I can't wait to get to 20K. Oh, never mind. I can't wait to get to 30. And it became this thing where me and my girl were just kind of like looking at the numbers throughout the day. Like, what's it at now? What's it at now? And it's funny because my girl was consistently putting out these makeup videos where she's working for hours on a look with crazy transitions or whatever, a couple of 100 views. I go out and get high with a cat and I come in with thousands and thousands of views. And I had already amassed about 2,000 followers, which is, you know, not crazy, but it's nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah.
But in 1 week, I went from 2,000 to 22,000 followers.
Wow.
From one cat video.
Yeah.
And I remember when I hit 1 million, my buddy like hit me up like, you hit 1 million. And then it took a couple of days for it to hit 1 million. Then it was like, it hit 2 to 5 in the same day. Then it was like, hey, then it just blew up. And the amount of hate, which was weird for a 7-second cat video. Like people, it'd be like 100 beautiful comments and replies and DMs. And then one person like, look at this scumbag not taking care of a sick cat or something like that. Or,
whoa.
yeah. They would go back through all my videos and find any reason to be mad. I remember there was a video of my cat like on a counter and they're like, look at these dirty people letting cats walk around their furniture, like anything to shit on us about. And all my friends would just start calling out these people like they love their cats, you know. I stayed quiet. I did not comment on any of them. I was like, this is what celebrities feel like. Now I understand. I'm part of it now.
Do you feel pressure to recreate that?
No, not at all. In fact, you know how you can pin posts or reels so that they're always the top thing?
Yeah. I
purposely don't pin my most viral videos. I had because what happens is when you go viral with a video, every other video that you had right before that or put on right after that is gonna like hit some of that effect. Sure. So for like a month, I had like a lot of views on it. Like one of my other videos was at like 500,000 like right after that, you know. And so I like my top 3 videos have like it's like 105 million. 500 something thousand and then like, you know, maybe 200 something thousand. And I could pin those as like the top 3 videos on my Instagram, but I purposely don't because they're 3 cat videos and I in no way perpetuate myself as a cat page. In fact, I've gone from 22,000 down to 18,000 because little by little people are like, this isn't a cat page.
Right.
I don't care about Will Bryant, you know, like unfollow. I have not gone up in followers in over a year and a half because I keep just losing. So even though I gain a couple of followers here every day, I lose more because I'm not a cat site. You know, Matt Richards was actually telling me like you should like lean in on that cat shit more. And I'm like, I don't know how though. Like I'm not gonna make this a cat podcast. Right. When I venture into comedy, I'm not gonna be the cat comedian. You know, like I'll probably talk about this, but you know, the one thing I regret is that I didn't lean into like. Maybe when I did have those videos go viral and had a lot more eyes on me, I regret not setting up something like, hey, help me feed my cats and send, like some food to them, or send some money so I could buy food for them and be transparent about that.
Sure.
Because I do pay for all their food like week in and week out out of my own pocket. Like that's the only thing I really regret.
Yeah.
Now I feel like I do think, first of all, I'm pretty sure I will never go more viral than that. So I have to be okay with the fact that like I've peaked in terms of views. My next goal is just like I feel confident enough that doing what I do consistently, I'll at least like one video, I'll say something in some video or something that'll catch again. And even if it's just a couple like the 25,000 like you were talking about, and I don't get the tens of millions of views, at least that next time if I get it for like a podcast clip, that'll mean more to me than the 100 million that I got for the cat. So I it's not so much pressure to do that again. It's more just I know it can be done because I did it so stupidly and so accidentally. So just don't give up and keep doing it. And the next time it happens, it'll be for something that I guess maybe you're proud of, or not that I'm not proud of the cat, but like I don't really.
Sure.
It's not something to be proud of. I took a video of a cat. It's like whatever,
Yeah.
The next time it's just like it can't look. If it can happen, it can happen to you. Like it's just you
Sure.
never know what's gonna go viral. That's really.
Yeah, I mean that's for real.
So that's the only way I look at it is just if. Plus, there's something I like about I would rather keep up putting videos that I like that don't succeed, as opposed to trying to chase the views and the likes and not be proud of any video I have put up. So
yes.
I'm not
100%.
No.
Yeah, I'm in that camp.
I don't really see you doing some dances on videos for reels though. So
no, doesn't interest me. I mean, I've done it. I don't use TikTok anymore. I had to. It made TikTok's FYP page. I was like, I'm anxious. I'm an anxious person, and this is making it worse. So I'm
not too good with TikTok. FYP, I know it stands for your page.
Yeah.
So is that like, does it put together things that it thinks is what you want, like the algorithm?
Yeah. Okay. The algorithm pushes you stuff that
and you're scared your FYP.
My FYP, because I was like, oh my god, pop psychology. Oh my god, like. It's like feeding me more information about topics that it thinks I want more about.
What is pop psychology?
Pop psychology, or like, like psychology, relationship advice.
Yeah.
Like talking about mental health, and surprisingly being influxed with information about mental health was not helping to my mental health in like a 60-second format.
Right.
There was some other stuff that, like at that time, like dating in New York, like that was sort of what my page was.
You sound like you have the healthiest for your page. My FYP is like girls dancing, cats many cat videos, and that fox that I want to take home. Like that's my FYP page. Yours is like mental health. Make yourself a better person.
Healthy. It was also crap. It was also It was also a lot of comedy because I was I was doing stand up more. I was like trying to figure out comedy more and like what. So it was also a lot of it was also a lot of stand up comedy. A lot of like character videos, and then I was comparing myself to like these people. Like I'm like measuring myself up against these people and like what am I willing to do, what am I not willing to do to like go viral, right? What am I doing?
Yeah.
And the cool thing that I realized like watching other comedians TikTok videos, especially in the pandemic, was like, oh, because everything was locked down or like closed for like a year and a half, I was like, this is like people working their stuff out. This is, there are certain comedians who I was like, I don't vibe with this person's like sense of humor. But what I do see is they're just putting shit out there and like trying stuff. And this is just their process. And like, they're just allowing people into their process and be that what it is.
Right.
And that was cool to take into consideration. But I had to let go of TikTok. And
do you still have one, or did you delete
I've
it?
deleted the app.
Okay.
I probably do have a page that
Right.
has like 5 videos on it.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm not good with it either, but I have to. You mentioned something. You did comedy. You don't. I remember our coworkers, Greg and Jack. They put together. I've talked about on this show, New Kids Comedy, before. I've talked about going to it. You did a open mic 5 minutes with one of their shows once, right?
I did not.
Oh, I thought you were going to then, and then you flaked out, I guess, huh?
No. I went to an open mic with Jack and Greg.
So
that was not New
maybe-
Kids.
got
It
it.
was at like Greenwich Comedy Club, and I went to a couple of mics with Jack before that.
Oh, okay. This was you getting back into it?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it openly. Sometimes I do comedy. Sometimes.
Right.
When I feel like I want to.
When did you start for the first time?
In the pandemic.
Okay.
I was seeing, to be honest, I was watching TikTok videos of dudes putting towels on their head and then pretending to be women, and it really pissed me off. And that's like the trend, right? Is like dudes impersonate, like to because you can make the different points of view.
Okay.
So they'd be like a boy with their regular hair, and then they'd put a towel on their head and they'd like impersonate their mother, and they'd like talk really high, like. And I was like, this is not fucking funny. Like, some people are fun. Like, some people can do it in such a way that it is kind of funny. For the most part, didn't find it funny. And I was like, well, if these bozos can do this and like amass a following and like have people want to watch them, then like, why can't I? And I also was like craving a way to be performing in a time when like I could, like, you know, as an actor, I couldn't like audition for stuff, or like, you know, they just stuff that just wasn't happening. So I was kind of, and I'd done improv before the pandemic. I'd done improv with the Brooklyn Comedy Collective in Bushwick. So it wasn't like my, you know, I'd been dipping my toe into the water for a while. And then I was like, oh, maybe I'll try stand up. Maybe that could be something that's like fun.
So you weren't trying to do one of these TikTok skits yourself?
I was.
Okay.
I dabbled in that a little bit, and that felt, and I did some like character videos. Like I think there was a couple of, like, if you scroll like early on in my Instagram, or I forget if I deleted them, but like I did this character, it's like I feel like I've lived in Brooklyn my whole life, but I've only been here for like a month. I love Brooklyn. I really feel like my people are here. And then they'll ask me, Gia, a native New Yorker, like, so what was it like being a child in New York? Like, like, what was that like? Like, do you, because I don't think I could ever like let my child ride the subway. And I'm like, okay, good, like, fine. Like, so I had like, clearly, things that I really dislike fuel me into action.
So you were motivated by you were inspired by spite. I got it. That's always the best of motivators.
Yeah. So I had a couple videos like that, but I think I was also chasing the view. Like, at that point, I was like really like trying to chase like
I burp, I cough on this show. The only thing I don't really do on this show is fart. So if you fart, you know, that'll be a first for Will Bryant. I'm Will Bryant. So.
Toot toot. We'll see what happens. But yeah. So then I was like, maybe I'll try stand up, and I've done a little bit of stand up.
So your first foray into comedy were like skits for social media, and then you decided, once the world restarted, that you were going to give the actual stand-up medium a try.
Yeah, because then I started watching people do stand-up from that. And that sort of seemed cool. And I was like, okay, I'll try that. And I then took this class with Women Stand Up, which is like the first marginalized gender-based comedy group in New York, and they offer classes. So that's where I took like a stand-up writing class with them, and I performed for the first time on stage, like in a show, doing a 5-minute set with them, and it was really rewarding. And I was like, okay, I don't know that this is like my calling, but this is fun and a great thing to do. And
what made you feel that way?
I guess it's different from acting. It's different like when I'm acting, I am myself, or like this may get a little like up here and like esoteric. So when I'm acting, I'm playing a character, and in the playing of the character, my goal is to just like let the character be a vessel through me, and I try not to separate between me and the character. That I try to just keep, as much as possible, we are the same person. And so if I, Gia, am feeling some sort of like body sensation of like I'm feeling like really really anxious in my chest, and like in the scene the character is not supposed to be, I'm like, okay, just like own that like I'm anxious in my chest, and like the character then is anxious in their chest for that moment, and then like hopefully I'll just do what the scene allows. So it feels nice to have have it be so that I am me, but also I'm not, and like the audience is not perceiving me as me. And when I'm doing stand up, it's stuff that I've written. It is me. Like, this is, warts and all, here I am. And there's something very freeing and beautiful about that. And then, but it also doesn't like do it for me.
You like being a vessel in a way more than just being a flat, like not a flat, but like a this is me, this is like all me 100%.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah. I like doing a comedic play. Like I'd like, and I think stand up was, I don't regret it at all. Like, and it's something that I am trying to like just get in the practice of going to mics, because writing I think is also very scary to me.
Oh, really?
Writing doesn't no. I think
so. You just lied. Great. Awesome.
I think
do you need another one, by the way? I don't know.
No. I'm slow to drink, but
it's okay.
It's good. The watermelon chili is really doing it.
You
for
like
me.
the Washington chill, huh?
Washington chill.
It was good. It is nice.
It is doing it for me.
I went to guava jalapeno. It's not too spicy.
It's not.
It's just the tiniest of tinges.
Yeah.
So when you did the 5 minutes at the end of your, I guess, class, you said you called it, did you ever have a consistent, I guess, open mic schedule, or like was it more sporadic after that? What was your, did you ever like actually try to throw yourself into comedy, or did you realize pretty early on, great, but not for me?
I wasn't going to mic super sporadically. What I did start to do was, two of my friends that I made in that class, shout out to Catherine and Michelle. Hi, Catherine and Michelle. And the three of us started getting together on like once a week on Google Meet, and we would write stuff.
I don't even know what that is.
Google, like, it's like Zoom.
But, oh, wow.
But it's Google's
their version of it.
Video conferencing platform.
I did not. Google Meet. All right, cool.
Google Meet. So we would.
First, why Google Meet? Why not Zoom? Why are you so fringe? Why are you so out there?
I moved to Brooklyn
exactly
a month ago.
I thought of that character too.
Yeah, she definitely. I fucking hate her. But I love her.
Have you named her, by the way? Does she have a name?
She doesn't. Bethany. That's her name.
Pretty good.
I just named her.
I saw that too. I saw her get birthed in the moment.
Yeah, that's her. Yeah, we got together, the three of us, because I did recognize like, oh, writing is good for me. And I'm also, I mean,
you said that scared you though, right?
And it does scare me. Yeah, writing is good for me and also scares me.
Why?
Because it's when I'm writing, it's most of the time me dealing with me.
Okay.
Like all the stuff that's in my brain is like now being put out, and I'm trying to like work. A lot of the time, I'm trying to work through something or like work through an experience. And that's what a lot of like the stand up I was doing at that point. It was a lot of it was about dating. Some of it was about family. And I was like working through these like awful dates I was having. And,
okay.
Like, you know, and like, or like, you know, like parent child stuff with my family that I was working through. And I was motivated to take the stand-up class because I was like, well, I'm not a setup punchline person, and I want to understand. At that point I was like, I don't know that I can do the setup punchline thing. And so that class was like, actually you can.
Right.
And it can be really fun and silly and creative, but like just you know, one of the exercises we did at one point was like, write just 10 random sentences, and that's your setup, and then like come up with a punchline for that. Like,
right.
And it was really silly and stupid and fun and so fun. But
you get things out of that you didn't you didn't realize you had this little tool in your toolbox. You know, you're like, oh, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So I took the Comedy Cellar class with Rick Chrome.
Right.
I still haven't done my showcase because I got sick, like quite literally 2 days before. I had to call out from work for like a week. I remember. It was rough. Worst timing. But Rick's been nice enough to let me do it again in February. So not the whole class, but the showcase.
Yeah.
But one of the main reasons I wanted the class was like you're kind of touching upon this. I had this disconnect with the idea of not so much setup punchline, but just the act of writing a joke in general. To me that felt so foreign.
Yeah.
And I have been called a funny person my whole life, but Rick said something once while I was like making him a cappuccino that kind of blew my mind. He's like, you can be a funny person without being a comedic person. Being funny means you can tell a humorous story that will entertain someone, and it might make someone that's familiar with you laugh.
Right.
Being comedic is telling that story in front of strangers, knowing where you're going to get the laughs every time, you know, like, and the example he gave was like, you know, if your mother's telling a story like, oh, I went to Atlantic City with the gals and I was going to do so much gambling, but the gift shop is so expensive. I went broke before I even hit the casino. And then your mom's friends will be like, oh, Ethel, that's so you. Ha ha ha. And for them, you just killed.
Sure.
You tell that story at the cellar, the whole crowd's going to be like, the fuck?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Right? That's the difference between, you know, humor, like you're being funny with a group of people and being comedic.
Right.
And that when he said that to me, I was like, this is why I need to take the class. Like I need to bridge that gap. I know that I can be funny. I have no idea if I can be comedic.
Sure.
And that's like learning that you even have a tool to come up with setups and punchlines. It's something like if you never knew you could do that, then that idea of a joke, a punchline stays foreign until someone shows you
how to do it.
It's possible. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so real. I've never been the funny person. And I think this is part of my fear / I should do more of it. I've
Can I say that sentence, it's so simple. It kind of blew my mind. You just looking at me and saying, I've never been the funny person. I just had this moment right now where I'm like, I have no idea what that's like. Like I'm usually one of the funnier people in any group setting that I'm in. In fact, if anything, I'm kind of working at the cellar is one of the first times that I'm like, I don't think I'm one of the funny people. Like, I think first of all, in a room full of comedians, I'm not going to fucking try to out funny someone. And,
yes. Especially in a place like that.
Oh my God.
Where, that's where you go to be.
Exactly. I've never felt less funny.
Do funny.
Then when there's no comedians around, some of our coworkers are still cracking jokes 24/7. And I'm like, I don't think I'm that guy in this group of people either.
Yeah.
It's the first time I'm feeling like, oh, maybe I'm learning what it might be like to not be the funny person. It's what is this?
What is it like?
What are you teach me how to do this?
Well,
do I have to grow a personality now?
Oh, well, I would argue the funny is your personality.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking with literally last night with Matt Richards.
Okay. Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh my God, give me like a woman." We were talking about how, the way that hot women can get away with not having a personality.
Right.
Because you're just treated well.
For sure.
It's that whole
100%. Yeah.
If you've ever seen 30 Rock, like Tina Fey dates John Hamm. But he's not like John Hamm in the show.
Right.
But like it's this whole episode about how like his whole life he's been treated like he's been treated so well because he looks like John Hamm.
Right.
And yeah, Matt was saying like please like give me like a woman, give me like a 2, but as long as her personality is amazing, like I can work with that. Like that's fun.
Right.
And I've also seen videos, and I forget the comedian that put it out there, but he's like, if you're hot and you're funny, like what's your trauma? Like what's your trauma? Come on. So I think funny is the person, is the personality, is the charm.
I always see, I have the ugly duckling syndrome because I grew up, I was born fat. Okay. I was fat for a long time. Like my mom loves to tell me like, oh, you were so fat I had to like unroll your fat and put talc powder. I'm like, great. That's
oh my God.
She's like, because if not, you rashed up like a motherfucker. I'm like, this is great. I feel amazing now. Thank you so much. She'd be like, wait, you don't believe me? Let me show you pictures. Like, I know. I've seen the pictures.
Yeah.
So I was fat for like a long time. And I felt like I had to develop the funny side because I was not going to be the fucking athletic one or the good looking one. In fact, I remember I had a girlfriend for like 2 years. And I mean, no, my first girlfriend, we were together for like 6 years. But like 2 years in, I remember talking on the phone with her. Not even the cell phone, but the fucking house phone.
Yeah, the landline.
Yeah, I held the brick to my head. And I remember at one point saying like, yeah, like, the way that you're with me for my personality. And she was like, what? She's like, I'm like, yeah, like, because I'm not, good looking or anything. And she's like, what in the world are we talking about? And she had to like tell me like, first of all, I do love your personality, but I am absolutely with you for your looks too. And I was like, no way.
How old were you?
I think I was in 8th grade at the time. Maybe 8th grade, if not like a freshman in high school. Yeah. And I'm telling you, we were together for over like a year, maybe 2 years at this point.
Wow.
And I was fully, it was a fact. It was just a fact of life to me that I'm with my girl because she's dope and she's very pretty and she's one of the first girls that's ever paid attention to me, and she's with me for personality. Like that was and I was fine with that, that was just the way it was. And then she had to tell me, no, you stupid idiot, I find you attractive.
Yeah.
And it was a life-changing moment to me.
Whoa.
It truly was.
Whoa. What did it do for your confidence after that?
At that point, not much, because I still, like I said, so I had the ugly duckling syndrome, but it at least told me that some people will actually be attracted to me. And by that time, I lost a lot of the weight.
Yeah.
It's funny with her, like I lost a lot of the weight of that like baby fat.
Yeah.
We got together. And then I told you we were together for like 6 years. Those like last 2 years, I gained a lot of weight, and she like suddenly wasn't that into me anymore. She dumped me, and I remember like thinking like I don't even really have to ask why. Like I know I gained like 60 pounds in the past like year and a half, so
Sure.
So whatever. And then I lost a bunch of that again. The confidence, I truly didn't really gain confidence until I actually started like bartending. And that's when, and I guess it's just drunk girls and drunk gay guys.
Sure.
And drunk guys too. Just drunk people in general.
Yeah.
If they're not mad at you, oh, they're gonna boost your confidence, man. Like they're just
Sure.
So that's really what helped. I always say this. Whenever I walked into a bar, I always thought the coolest guy in the room or the coolest person in the room was the bartender. And whenever I walked into a club, I thought the coolest person in the room was the DJ. So I don't think it's any surprise that I ended up a bartender that DJs on the side. You know, like it's definitely some Freudian shit going on in here, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's where my confidence came from. Plus just the fact that I do like, if you haven't seen pictures of me when I was fat, well, I'll show you some afterwards, but like, it looks like I ate myself. Like, it's like, you ever seen Friends?
Yeah. Oh,
do you remember Monica in the fat suit? Dude, I that was me. Like, I have put up on Instagram a side by side of me fat and Monica fat, and it's the same shit, just more Hispanic on one side.
I would never have known. Had you not told me.
I don't think I exude the fat boy persona or whatever.
No,
you know?
not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
You know what? My personality kind of started shifting the more weight that I lost. I truly believe, and perhaps this is just the timing of me growing up.
Yeah.
But I truly believe that I became, not fully, but a little bit less annoying and obnoxious the more weight that I lost. My friends in college used to like not want to invite me over to like smoke weed with them because I used to annoy the shit out of them. These are my best friends to this day that will like have no problem doing every drug in the world with me now.
Yeah.
And they have no problem. Like my best friend in the world, Keith, he has no problem saying, you used to be the most annoying person I've ever known in my life. We were not friends for like the first 6 months that we knew each other. He actually fucking like, he's like, I almost hated you. You're so obnoxious. And when they tell me this, no part of me is defensive at all. I look back at it and I'm like, yeah, actually, I remember.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're right. And I don't know what about the weight loss suddenly was like, I lost a lot of the obnoxious, like, try hard shit,
Sure.
you know? Like, I don't know what it was, dude. It's almost like the fat was controlling my personality in a way.
Wow. That's deep.
Maybe. Because I definitely became more laid back. I felt like I was chasing, whether it was reactions or chasing laughs or chasing something.
Yeah.
Once I started losing weight, I kind of just didn't really care what the reaction to me was. I wasn't so worried about people liking me anymore or whatever. I don't know.
Were you getting like a lot of attention from your family for being fat?
For being fat?
Yeah.
I got more attention from my family when I started losing weight, but more in a worry. Like so I lost all the weight in like one semester in college.
Yeah.
By the way, not healthy at all. I've been pretty open with this, and even on this show, I lost about 60 pounds in one semester.
Whoa.
And it was all because of cocaine, painkillers, and insomnia.
Whoa.
You know, mixed with like, I was definitely struggling with depression a lot back then.
Yeah.
Nothing was healthy about my life. I ended up failing out of college. Like there was no healthy shit going on in my life at the time. And everyone that I was living with or saw on a daily basis, no one noticed the weight loss because they saw me every day.
Sure.
It wasn't until I went home for the semester where my mom truly thought, she broke down in tears because she thought I was sick. And the very first day I was back, I came back for a family party, and everyone at the party was like, are you okay? Like, Italian families, Hispanic families, I think they're very similar. We're not really into fat shaming. We're the ones that make you fat by overfeeding you, right?
Yeah.
So they were like, well, you're not eating, you're not healthy, you know, like, you know, you're not, they were worried, you know?
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that was happening. Then when fucking other people be like, Will, you look great, blah, blah, I'm like, yes.
Sure.
This is what I wanted, you know, like.
Yeah. Huh. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah.
I feel like,
no problem.
well, I mean, I can resonate with a lot of what you said. And I asked about like if you were getting attention from your family because, and it could, well, that's what I was about to say. It could be just because it could be the fact that I'm a girl, but it's not true.
I was about to say that too, though.
My brother who, hi Giuseppe, if you're watching this.
Older or younger?
Younger.
Okay.
He's 15.
Oh, wow.
It's just the two of us, same parents. He's very sensitive about his weight too, in a way that I didn't realize dudes can be or dudes are.
Okay.
But he is. Or like, and also like in our family, like, I don't know if it's like this in your family or like if it's an Italian thing, just like everyone's commenting on everything. Mm-hmm. So if you lose weight, they're going to talk about it. If you gain weight, they're going to talk about
publicly
it.
Or like behind
within the family, within the family.
To your
at the dinner
face?
table, to your face,
Okay.
behind your back, like everyone's you know, like my it was not uncommon to like, I mean, my grandmother still is like, you can tell that you lost face in your weight. You tell you lost weight in your face.
Right.
Like what's going on? Like, you know, a week ago, like, you know, or like commenting on like the way my clothes fit me, or like, it's constant, and it's not a gender thing. I think it's just it's just like a cultural thing. And it's probably my family of like, you know, you look good or you don't look good, or like what's going on in your life, like
right.
what's going on, trying to like get information, like
I also think, and I've seen this a lot within not just my family but families in general, I guess sometimes with friends too, I think sometimes other people may think that they're in a way complimenting you or being nice when they say, you know, not talking about when you gain weight, but when you lose weight and they say, oh, you're too skinny. Or you know, you need to eat more or whatever. Like, it's no one ever really says, well, except our families. Our families will definitely be like, you're too fat. You need to eat less or whatever. But they're much more ready to be like, you're all skin and bones. You know, you're not eating or whatever. But I don't know. With families and weight, I feel like you're never going to be the perfect weight for your family.
No,
You walk in with a six pack, they'll be like, "Look at this! Look at Mr. Steroids over here! Look at Mr. Gym and Muscles."
I don't know. I'm lucky in that I haven't struggled with my weight so much. But there's like, it's like body stuff
For sure.
I didn't have a lot of like I don't have a ton of that stuff. I feel really lucky, but it's still weird. It's still like, you know, like being a teenager and having stretch marks, like,
right,
because it's just like me growing into my body. Like, it's like also genetic. It's also,
I used to obsess over my stretch marks. That's so true. Yeah.
And like people like family members commenting about that, and I'm like, fuck off. Like, it's interesting also being in this country versus in Italy. Like in Italy, you go to a beach and like everyone is in a two-piece. The men are all in Speedos and the women are all in two pieces, like no matter shape, size, weight.
Right.
And it's just like, we're at the beach. This is what we do. And I don't know if it's because like the family that I do have there, when I go and I see them, it's like very pleasant and like lovely, and like they're also like distant cousin, like, you know, just cousins of like my dad's. So like they're not commenting about my weight or anything, but like it's my family who's immigrated here, and we're all here, and we're just like picking each you know, I had like an aunt once like look at my stretch marks. I was a teenager and she was just like, you need to put something on that. You need to like put cream. I was like, what is wrong with you? Like, like there's, you know, and I knew, luckily I had like a thick enough skin to be like, to just like shrug it off and like roll my eyes. But like,
why do you think that what brings that? Like, I can't imagine like us doing that to the next generation. Right.
I mean, I hope we don't. I hope we don't.
We're gonna do something else that's appalling to them, but What happened to the last generation that makes them think that shit like that is perfectly copacetic to say in a family setting? You know, like that's what I've always, because you're right, and they will say that.
Oh yeah.
Or something else.
Yeah.
Is it that just people were just meaner back then, or just like, because you know they always say we're more sensitive.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's like a lot of the. I mean, a lot of it is. My mom always says, she's like, I'm just talking. I'm just making conversation.
Right,
I'm just making
right.
conversation.
Yeah.
And
First of all,
I'm just making conversation.
if that's your mom's voice, I love your mom already.
You, mom. No, I love you, mom. Serious, I do. But
that's gonna be the one clip I cut out for Instagram. Just Gia hates her mom. Fuck you.
Let's not go there today, Will. That's a whole other podcast
right, we'll have you
episode.
back to talk about your mom.
But no.
Does any part of you think that it's because they? Don't worry, I'm pretty sure my girl's home and she'll be able to get that.
That's fine.
Part of me feels like they had to deal with that and worse, so now they feel like instead of being, the change, it's now their turn. Now I get to fucking shit on people or whatever, like
a resentment, like
in a way,
like they feel resentful
Yeah.
of how easy we have it, not being able to afford anything in the current market, home wise, or like crippling anxiety. No, I think you're right. I think some of it is like resentment, and I think some of it is just like that's normal to them. Like the 80s. Like I think about my mom. My mom talks about like dieting in the 80s, and like I also know, like, and I've had conversations about this too, like even in like Italian American spheres, and in the land of Italy, and I'm sure it's like this in other parts of the world and in the United States, but like there is, as an Italian woman, there's so much emphasis on how beautiful you are. Your currency is how pretty you are.
Yes.
And it's like this in the United States as well. But yeah, like in my very traditional family, okay, the more pretty you are, the easier time you're going to have at finding a husband, the easier, your life is just going to be better. And so if you are not that, or if you are not in the very, very, very tiny box that is like what determines beauty, then like you better fucking get it together. Take those fucking diet pills, do that fucking diet, like perm your hair, like do what you have to do. And I my aunt saying that to me of like, we have to put cream on those stretch marks. It feels like almost protective when I think about it now, of like, you need to do something about this, because
it's actually,
you need to do something about this.
We might take that as breaking us down. She's actually trying to help or protect in her weird, fucked up. Yeah. That's actually, as you were saying this, I remember I was thinking to myself, you seem so healthily grounded that it wouldn't fuck you up mentally too much as it would perhaps other people.
Sure.
And then you put this little bow tie at the end of your story that like tells me like that's probably why she isn't feeling so terrible about it. Like you literally just kind of finagled that so that your aunt telling you to cover your stretch marks is actually her showing you love in a way and support.
Thank you.
That seems healthy to me. Yeah.
I guess I did that just now. Not 7 years of therapy. No. That plus 7 years of therapy. No, I mean, I think I've thought a lot about these. I have thought a lot about these things of, cause I'm definitely like, I feel like the black sheep of my family.
Okay.
For Yeah, I definitely feel like the black sheep of my family. I'm a very responsible person, as we spoke about earlier in this podcast.
Very much.
And I hear that a lot, especially like lately at the cellar. Everyone's been like, "You seem to make really good choices." And
I mean, you do. It helps
really
that
together.
you're contrasted against a plethora of people that make bad choices all the time, I think. So
yeah, I am in a place, I will admit, I feel very tired of that.
bad choices?
No, of being like responsible.
Wow.
And like perceived in that way. And
You're going to come to work in like a leather miniskirt next shift.
yeah, definitely.
Chains.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Skull and
Why?
crossbones. I think.
So wait, you're saying in your family, obviously at work, and I'm guessing in your group of friends, you are perceived the same way.
Yeah.
And you're tired of that.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I'm very tired of it. I mean, I think it's what drew me. It draws like segue into the play. I think it is what attracts me to this character in the play. Not because she isn't responsible. I think I've held myself in the name of needing to be responsible and needing to feel in control and needing to feel like I need to like look out for myself all the time and like not be in a position where I'm out of control or like being reckless. Mm-hmm. I think I've held myself back from just like a lot of life experiences or just like even having fun.
Right.
Because I feel this need to like be even keeled all the time.
You've heard of type A personalities and type B. You're obviously considering yourself a type A personality.
I think I've always been,
right,
yeah, and I think I used to be much more type A.
For those that don't know, type A, I love that I just suddenly looked. I think I've looked at the camera like twice this whole time. I usually just forget that. For those of you out there in TV land, type A is the measure twice, cut once type of person, the planner, right? They like to know what's happening. Whereas like the type B is like, yeah, we'll figure it out. You know, no plan necessary. Usually drives the type A person crazy because. So, I consider myself type B. I thought I was a type A growing up.
Yeah.
Then I realized I am not because I met type A's and I'm like, wow, you guys are type A.
Yeah. And I think in some ways I am, and in some ways I like to think I'm more easygoing.
Okay.
In terms of like, I don't need to be the planner all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There are lots of areas in my life I feel like I don't want to be in charge.
Are you often finding yourself in charge or the planner? You know,
it depends.
Group of friends. There's an outing. Are you taking charge?
No.
Okay.
No. I don't, unless it's like my birthday. Unless it's like, it's my birthday, this is what I want to do.
Sure, yeah.
But I don't feel like it, it's not necessarily a control in that sense. But the group of friends like plans the thing. We all go out and I am, I can't always partake in the like having drinks. I can't get like too messy. I can't.
Why?
This is my dilemma.
Right.
This is my.
So you're saying you can't? You make it sound like.
Well, it's not that I can't. I often choose
not. But are you saying that part
to.
of you now wants to do that?
Yeah.
Really?
I think I wanna just like shake things up and like really. I think it's mostly about enjoyment. And I don't know that I necessarily need to be like, I need to like have drinks and like just chill out. Sometimes I do. Sometimes that is, but I don't, I think I think it's not so much about my friends. I think I go out, I'm having this experience where we're all out. And in my mind, there are lots of unknowns of who's around, what's being done, what's going on. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm the common denominator in this. I need to keep myself safe. I need to like so it's just better if I have all my faculties about me.
Right.
And I can like navigate And that's great. And I'm also I can use having some more fun, like being more adventurous and just like
you feel like you've missed out on fun then?
Yes and no. Yes, in a lot of ways, yes. Yeah. Fun in I don't know. I now I feel like I'm boxing myself in, or like I'm making myself sound a certain way. Yeah, I think I can do with just having more fun and like being looser. And you know, like at work, I'm like, just do the job, you know, like.
Well, you also don't strike, because as much as I'm calling you responsible and we're talking about you might want to loosen up and have fun, I also don't. My perception of you is not as this hoity-toity, tight, like tight-ass person that is all about the job or whatever. Like, no, I actually do find you to be quite easygoing.
Yeah.
Quite you're very go with the flow. If anything, when I think of you as being responsible, I think you see all the dumb shit going down. And instead of being this like obnoxious anti-current going the opposite way, you go with it, but you're just safely treading water while we're all like fucking, like trying to swim and get a breath. You're laughing at us like, you idiots. But like you remember to like pack your life vest or something. That's all. But you're still going down the same river. Like
sure.
you actually truly seem to me like the type of person that, if we invite you out, not that I go out with the cellar crew or whatever, unless it's across the street to the goddamn ale house or whatever, which always gets me in trouble. Like, you guys, you want to have fun, or like you want to just stop being responsible? Go to the ale house more often, and shit just happens. Like. Oh
yeah, lots. I hear the stories.
Do you go across the street?
I haven't been in a long time. I haven't been in a while because of the show.
Okay, right.
Because we rehearse in the mornings before work.
Jesus.
A lot of the time.
Yeah.
So if I'm working a few days in a row and we have rehearsal, I'm like, if I go out after, depending on how early we get out, then I'm getting home at no earlier than 5. Or I like if we go to McDougal Ale, then I'm getting home at least 5, and then I'm fucked.
Right.
Because if I have to rehearse at 1.
Is that what time you guys are doing rehearsals? 1:00?
Like 1 to 4, like 12 to 4, or like.
Man, you guys are really.
We're like a few times a week, so I haven't been in a few months, and I'm okay with that.
No, you should be very okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to be invited to go out. It's nice to go when I can. But yeah, I haven't been in a while, and that's okay. I thought about going last night, but then a bunch of people came in at like 1.
Yeah, I saw that.
So
last night was Dave Attell's birthday, and Dave Attell was the first one to leave. That was hilarious. And Tuesday, the day before that, I was working in the cellar the night before, and when I came up to bring up a bunch of stuff, like, you know how once we call last call, the bartenders start pretty much cleaning up the bar right away. So we bring stuff up to the kitchen. The first time I brought stuff up to the kitchen on Tuesday, there was no one at the cafe. And on Wednesday, I was like, well, we're going to have another easy night. I go upstairs, and the cafe is full with Artie, running court with Godfrey in the back with Matt Richards. I'm like, oh, my goodness. No one told anyone it's 12 degrees outside, apparently. We're just chilling here.
We were having a good time. Yeah. And we got done at, I think I left around 3. So I was like, I'm just going to head home.
Yeah, I don't blame you there.
Yeah. So, and it was a long, we rehearsed yesterday. So, 12 to 4 rehearsal, straight into work, get off at 3. I was like, yeah, I'm tapped. I'm tapped out.
I definitely want to ask you how these rehearsals are going, but before I even do that, we have to get into how you even came up with the idea of producing a play. And I've never had a conversation with someone that produced a play. So I'm actually very interested in what goes into that. My first question is about that.
Yeah.
Is why? Like, what made you want to do this?
I read the play. It's called Manuscript. by Paul Grellong, and I read it in college. And it was one of the first plays I'd read.
Did you went to college for
I went to college
theater?
for theater.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
I went to NYU.
Oh,
I went to
Jesus
NYU
Christ.
Tisch.
I have a...
Talk about type A.
You know what's funny? My friend that I consider one of the most type A people I know, Monica, also an NYU grad.
For what? What was her major?
That's a good... Monica, what'd you major in? She went on I remember thinking she was so smart because she skipped a grade and went on a full ride to NYU. And then, meanwhile, I'm getting kicked out of Stony Brook for doing too much drugs and losing too much weight. I forgot. If I'm going to take a fucking guess at something, it might have been like media relations. She's probably... First of all, she doesn't listen or watch this podcast, so go fuck yourself. But if she would ever see that clip, she'd be like, that's not it at all, Will. Wow, you don't know me at all. But whatever. She was a NYU chick and also type A. So I guess that you went to like the hub of type A's.
Yeah. I went on a half ride. So Monica, good job.
So you're half as smart as Monica. Not
yeah,
bad.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly that. Yeah, I went to NYU. Lots of type A people all around. Lots of, and I went for undergrad, and it's a really big program. Like most theater programs across the country are like, start out with like 16 to 24 people, and then they cut you. Like you have to audition to stay in it, and you can be cut out of the program.
16 to 24 people.
Mm-hmm.
In a year. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what was NYU
NYU's is 400 people per year.
That sounds...
Because it's a machine.
That sounds more normal to me, but I guess that's what it is being born and raised in New York. For us,
sure,
big numbers make more sense.
Yeah.
It's good. Well, you tell me NYU Tisch, like to me, like that's like, I feel like it's basically that in Juilliard. Like that you guys are...
Yeah, that's what you pay all the money to. You pay there for the name,
right? You
pay that, and there are some really great teachers there. I made some really good friends. I had some good teachers, and it's a really big program. And it goes me saying type A people. You have at least 400 type A people. 400 of the top students at their schools.
Yeah,
they're very small ponds. You know, they're big fish. At least my experience was I was a big fish in a small pond at my high school in Brooklyn. Hamilton. Shout out Tigers, Fort Hamilton High School. So I'm a big fish in a small pond, and then I get dropped into this like huge pond.
So when you say big fish, small pond, do you mean like in your theater world at your old school?
Theater world, academically.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. You know you're the lead in I was a lead in the plays a lot of the time, and then I auditioned for NYU. I happened to get in,
and you obviously had some of the best grades in the school. I'm guessing if you were half right in NYU, you're about to tell me you were the best grades in the school.
No, okay. I was not valedictorian. I was I think I graduated like 15 or 16 in my graduating class out of 1,100.
That's a pretty big one. All right, that's good.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and then I go to this school where it's like everyone is that.
Right.
Everyone is that.
Right.
You're not going there because and I think going into college,
I've heard a lot of athletes talk about this when they go to college.
Yeah.
They're like their high school team, they dominated every game, and then they get recruited by college, and it's like all of your teammates did that at all of their high schools too.
Yeah.
Right. So it's the same thing in the theater world.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. At least it was at this school.
Humbling experience, that transition?
Yeah. It broke me in all the ways that it was supposed to. But in a beautiful way. Like I'm so glad I went, because I think going in, I was a little bit elitist. Not a little bit. I was when I talk about like I used to be more type A, I think this is where I used to be very type A. I was really excited to be around people who like cared in the way about the things that I did and the way that I wanted to do them, and I was gonna be around really smart people all the time.
Right.
And I just could not wait to like get out of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Which, truly frosting on the cake.
By the way, where do you live right now?
I live in Ridgewood.
Oh, technically Queens. All right.
Technically
so you got out. You got out. All
Queens,
right.
but like I also lived at home when I went to college. I wasn't dorming. But I mean, just icing on the cake too. That like Brooklyn became popular right when I got to college,
And right when you're like, I'm gonna get out of this.
I'm gonna just like, yeah, I get to go to
town
this. I
with
get
all
to
the
go to the
idiots.
city and like be in the city, and then everyone's like, oh my god, you're from Brooklyn, and I was like, fuck.
That's
Fuck!
I dream of
What are you
living
talking
there.
about? You want to live there? But
So you had this idea of like, I can't wait to be surrounded with intellectuals like me.
yeah, and I was excited about like I was excited to like meet people who had money, who had like real money.
Wow.
Because the Gossip Girl fantasy, I would like read Gossip Girl as a teenager.
Read Gossip Girl.
Yeah, because Gossip Girl was a series of books, and then they turned it into a TV
I
show.
never knew that
Yeah.
until right now.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so and then did you watch the show?
And I watched the show here and there. I will be honest, the show is so much better than the books are.
Wow.
That's my opinion. But
wow.
I was really drawn to how like they had all this stuff. They like got to run around New York City, and they wore like these amazing clothes, and they got to like do whatever they wanted. Their parents didn't give a shit about them.
You were drawn to that.
I was so like that felt like, oh man, I wish that was like my life and my world, or like there's something so like
I tend to be that tends to push me away. I don't like watching shows, whether they're fiction or reality, of like the good life, of the rich life, of the spoiled life, of the pretentious life, of the privileged. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And it's a big part of it is definitely resentment and jealousy. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like, so gossip, like things like Gossip Girl, like they never resonated with, I mean, I don't know how I was ever such a huge fan of Sex and the City, but I've seen every single episode multiple times, and I can quote it for you. But I it's one of those shows I can't really go back and rewatch.
Yeah.
Because I see, to me, suddenly now it's like, oh, you privileged, you know, like white chicks, oh my God, bitching about, you know, what heel you're wearing. Like, shut the fuck, like, I can't. But,
never taken a subway. Carrie
Right,
Bradshaw
yes.
never taken the fucking subway in her life.
Yeah.
In her whole entire life.
I remember reading this article where they added up all of her outfits and what her rent is like, and said like how much she would actually have to make in a year to like portray this character, and how it's like impossible or whatever.
Yeah.
But real quick on Gossip Girl, did you enjoy the ending of the original one when they revealed that the Gossip Girl was actually a guy the whole time? I'm not wrong about that, right?
No, you're right.
Yeah.
I watched it here and there. I didn't follow it enough to like have an opinion about the end.
Did you read all of the books?
I think I read all the books, and I think
Did they ever reveal the Gossip Girl in the books?
yes, and I think it was the same
Really?
person.
Wow.
It was a long time ago.
I remember, I have this weird thing where I love, my girl hates this about me. It's like 74th on the list of things she hates about me. But I have this weird thing where I will go out of my way to read or research or find out the ending of something that I truly don't give a fuck about, because I just want to know the ending, you know? And
Not
like,
because you want to ruin it for other people.
no, I don't ever go out and sabotage it. You know, no.
Okay.
But I've done it with like Lost. I was never until I gave Lost like two episodes. I gave it 2 tries, and I was like, nope. But when the season finale came out, like I was like, all right, I'm in. Let's figure this out. And then I remember like reading deeply as to what this meant, and then I was like, yep, that was a stupid ending, and now I know for sure. And I'll do that with movies that I have no intention of seeing, but I'm like, I want to know how it ends. And my girl will be like, oh, do you want to watch this movie that came out 7 years ago? I was like, I never saw it, but I know how it ends. And she'll be like, how? And I'm like, I just was really interested one day, and I didn't want to waste an hour and a half, so I wasted 12 minutes, you know, like. And Gossip Girl was one of those things where I, you know, I did it with like How I Met Your Mother, and like I will have debates with people that have watched every episode like multiple times. I'm like, that was a shitty show because it ended. It's fucking stupid. And they'll be like, how do you know how it ended if you never saw the fucking?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I know. I was like, I researched the ending, my friend. I didn't bother watching the last 4 seasons, but I know how it ended. Gossip Girl, I saw people pissed off about the ending, and I was like, well,
here we go.
Let's get into it. And I started just researching, and there were so many people pissed off about it.
Yeah.
That I was sometimes when I do that with a show or a movie that I purposely don't watch because I know I won't like it, I find joy in finding out that the ending sucked.
Sure.
That's my that Robert Pattinson movie?
Which one?
The one that ends with him in the World Trade Center. Remember Me?
Okay. I didn't see it.
Neither did I, but you want to know how it ends?
Sure.
Remember Me is a dramatic romance movie between two people that has absolutely nothing to do with 9/11. However, the climactic scene of the movie is Robert Pattinson visiting his dad in his office, and the dramatic reveal is them zooming out. He's like looking out the window like despondently, and then the camera zooms out, and it's like it shows you like that it's the World Trade Center, and then it randomly shows you like a teacher talking about something, and then the calendar just happens to be right behind her, and guess what? It's September 11th, 2001. So the whole movie has nothing to do with 9/11. It's just a love story between two people. And then the climactic scene is that the dude dies in the World Trade Center. So, always follow your true instincts and love whoever you want to love. And then that's it. That's how it dies. That's how it dies. That's how it ends.
That's how he dies.
That's how he dies, yeah.
Fuck.
That's one of the most fun times I've ever had reading the end of a movie that I've never seen. Because I remember reading this and being like, I'm so happy that anyone that saw this movie had a negative reaction. Like, if you paid to go see this in theaters and were like, what the fuck was that? You deserve it. You deserve it, I bet even Robert Pattinson was reading that script like, what the fuck? And then he looked at his agent and he was like, how much are they paying me? All right, fuck it. World Trade Center climax. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, I do know a bit about Robert Pattinson in that time. I was a big Twilight person.
That made it sound like you dated him, just so you know. Like, I know.
Yeah, I was 13 and he was 27, which nice. I really wanted when I was 13. No, I think it was like the first big movie he did after Twilight. I think this was like a huge indie passion project for him.
Passion project, yeah.
Because Twilight just so put him on the map and made him millions of dollars.
I don't even think he liked Twilight, but
I don't think he did either.
No, I've seen the videos.
Yeah, I don't think he did either.
All right, NYU school Tisch. You're an elite. I have one of the most elite actors that has ever come out of Brooklyn.
Please don't even. No.
When you go to NYU for theater, are there like specific majors? Like, is there directing or screenwriting or stage design?
So when you go, so Tisch School of the Arts they have the drama department, which includes actors, and then they have within the drama department, they have, for the undergrad, they have 7 different studios where they're okay, this studio is studying this teacher and this studio is studying this teacher. And then they have a production studio within that. So then there are people who want to learn how to do lighting design and sound design. Mm-hmm. And then in the rest of the Tisch School of the Arts, they have dramatic writing. They have the film school. That's where all those a bunch of famous directors have gone. They have a photography department. So that's all within the Tisch School of the Arts. So in the Tisch drama for undergrad, there are 7 different studios. I went to Stella Adler, and they put that when you audition, they decide where you're going to go. I've
heard this a lot, whether it be through podcasts or whatnot. Stella Adler.
Yeah.
It's a separate school, or describe what Stella Adler is.
So Stella Adler was a woman. She was an actress and an acting teacher.
I did at least know that.
So she started a school I guess in the 50s or 60s, based on her work. And so there is a Stella Adler Conservatory.
Okay.
One of our coworkers, Greg, who you mentioned,
yeah.
and he's in
Greg Melly, New Kids Comedy.
Greg Melly of New Kids. He's in the play as well. So
don't worry, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, he went to NYU. He went to Stella Adler Conservatory, which is just.
Is that different from NYU?
So the NYU gives the Stella Adler Conservatory money, like the money that NYU students pay. Some of it, a chunk of it, goes to Stella Adler to teach these NYU students this philosophy, and they do that with a few different schools.
Okay.
So I was studying at the Stella Adler studio.
Wow.
And the teachers who were teaching at the conservatory.
The fact that Greg was studied under the Stella Adler program, that does not mean that he was an NYU student. Correct. Though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They have a lot of the same teachers.
Because let's just make it clear, Greg in no way would ever be able to get into NYU, correct? Like
you said that, I
didn't. Come on.
You said that, I didn't. I didn't say it.
Greg would never be able to get into NYU. Like,
he braggadociously told us one day that his college had a 94% acceptance rate, which is pretty high.
His college
had a 94% acceptance rate. Word for word, what he said to me.
That's exactly
to a group of us.
That's exactly the type of flex that I would expect coming out of that piece of shit's mouth. That's fucking.
Yeah.
I love Greg, but that's all right. No doubt.
Yeah. So
you are the top. He's like Men in Black. Yeah, the top of the best of the best of the best. Mm-hmm. Greg Melly. It's funny because his girlfriend kind of is the best of the best of the best.
Yeah.
Because she came out of a test tube where like they got rid of all the other shitty.
She is the elite. She's the elite.
Yeah, she is the best version of her that could have come out.
Truly.
Greg, not even close.
Well, I think he's the youngest. I think there were many.
Youngest of?
The youngest in his. I think he's the youngest sibling in his family.
Oh, I think you might. Is he?
He gives off.
Young kid vibes?
The youngest.
Gives off children vibes?
Yeah, the youngest child. Birth order is very important.
I wouldn't know. I'm a single child, so.
I've heard. Almost was.
Right.
My brother's 12 years younger than me,
yeah.
so I know what that's like. It's nice, and my brother is kind of an only child. He's growing up like an only child.
Right,
because I don't live at home.
Out. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Whenever people realize I'm an only child, I get like a similar reaction, like, "Oh, suddenly that makes sense." I'm like, "I don't." The fuck?
Yeah, I don't know. People are like, oh, "They're such an only child," and I'm like, "What?"
That usually people always say that means that I think everything's about me, that I'm very self-centered, that I'm very egotistical.
I don't perceive you in that way. I don't perceive Will in that way.
That's the first
even though
time
he has his own podcast. Okay?
where I talk for an hour and make people listen. And by the way, it's named I'm Will Bryant.
Correct.
Yeah. I'm not egotistical at all. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
That's I swear you're one of the few people that don't believe so. But it goes back to what I was saying, where how I said in the cellar, I feel like I am not the funny guy or whatever, which also lends itself to being not the center of attention, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas like in my group of friends, I am very much, I don't know if I'm thirsty for it, but I tend to make myself it generally pretty effortlessly, you know? And I do gravitate towards that, you know? Like I don't shy away from the attention, you know?
Yeah.
I've always been good with attention. In fact, and I do kind of like, I remember talking to Rick right before I took this class, and he told me that the biggest obstacle that he had to help his students get over is fear of public speaking. And I told him I have zero fear of public speaking. I've actually given, when I was younger, I've given like speeches in front of like crowds and shit. And he's like, well, great. That's the first obstacle that you have to get over.
Yeah.
So I get the center of attention thing, but at the Comedy Cellar, like I said, I don't think I exude that because I realize there's 43 funnier people in this room that are used to being on stage. You know,
Sure.
like if when you have a conversation with someone like Matt Richards or, you know, James Mattern,
Yeah.
yeah, if you interact with David Tell for 3 sentences, like they will always have the funniest line in that interaction. They'll always say the thing that mattered the most. So it's like, why am I even trying?
Sure.
You know? So the fact that you are one of the few people in my entire life that has ever told me that you don't think I exude self-centeredness and egotism, I think it has a lot to do
With how you are at the Cellar.
Right. Because
Yeah.
at the Cellar, I don't think I am that way. Yeah.
No, I don't perceive you in that way at the Cellar at all. Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I'm sure that my friends listening to this will be a little taken back by that. Because any job I've ever had, I usually end up being one of those types of people. But,
Sure.
But dude, when Colin Quinn's walking in and Jim Norton's walking in and Keith Robinson's walking in, Andrew Schultz, Shane Gillis, fucking Chappelle, Hart, Rock, these people are walking in. There's no part of me that's like, spotlight is mine. Like, fuck that.
No.
It's the most humbling job I've ever had in my life.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think my experience at NYU was a lot like that.
Oh yeah.
In that way of like, I'd never taken an acting class before.
Huh.
I'd done school plays.
That's kind of a flex that you got into NYU, theater, Tisch School, all that shit, and without a single acting class.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I had a lot of. I mean, I had a theater teacher who really believed in me. I'd done some like Shakespeare competitions. So like my public speaking teacher from 9th grade, Mrs. Lapinto. Shout out to Mrs. Lapinto, who probably won't ever listen to this, but like she's wonderful.
What grade was she?
9th grade. We had to take public speaking.
Nice.
So she coached me in some Shakespeare stuff because I did these Shakespeare competitions sometimes. But I mean, no, yeah, I didn't take in a class until I got to college, and a lot of people. I mean, NYU was really humbling for me, and like while it was like a very difficult period in my life, like going to school, I wanted to leave a few times. I didn't. I stuck it out, but like I was surrounded by a lot of very talented people who had most people had been acting since they were like at least 10 years old in some sort of capacity, whether they were taking acting classes, whether they were like, and in like a really intense way. And that was really hard. And it was also really hard that like, I really understood like class and like the American class system in a way that I was like, oh, this is weird. This is like intense. This is intense. This is like, fuck you, Rich.
Right.
You know, this is, I mean, I was there on scholarship. I was living at home. I mean, I'm very lucky. Like we grew up in New York City, and like my parents, I mean, we never struggled or like I had everything I needed as a kid, but like, my parents were like, no, you can't have that toy because you want it. Like there were limits, and sometimes it felt like we had less than we did. But I was suddenly around people whose parents were paying like their full tuition, full room and board, and then giving them $1,200 a week, just spending money.
Yeah.
And that was like really crazy. And it was it was one of the first times where I was around a lot of people who like, I just felt very isolating. Mm-hmm. It felt very isolating. They're one of my good friends, Milton Lopez. Hey, Milton. He was the only kid from New York City. He's from the Bronx. I was from Brooklyn. We were like two of the only kids from New York City.
Yeah.
So it was like a lot of people having like a New York experience at the same time. And I was like, well, I live here. You're okay. Like it was all very strange. And at the same time, you know, I'm learning about acting, or I'm supposed to be learning about acting. And I was a kid, you know, 18. Like I was a kid who was super emotional and vulnerable, and like going through my first breakup, and like dealing with anxiety, like dealing with all these feelings of like, oh my God, I had all these expectations about what this was supposed to be, and I'm not happy, and I feel really bad about myself, and I'm vulnerable all the time, and now you want me to get up in front of people and like act, and like, and you know, like teachers are like trying to give you direction, they're giving you criticism, like, you know, I'm like an open wound that's just being like poked, and like walking around New York City like and then doing it all over again. And it was like it was a really weird period of my life, and I was consumed by the fact that I was going to have loans when I came out of school. How am I going to pay, like, how am I going to pay these loans back as an actor? Like, if I'm supposed to, like, you know, my family was not into me going to acting school. Like,
okay,
this is not what my acting is not what my like parents wanted me to do. You know, they're like, you're so smart, you could literally do anything and like be stable, and like we like just got stable, we like moved here from another country, like we're like why wouldn't you want that? And so, you know, I'm feeling all this pressure of like, how am I going to support myself as an actor? Can I even be an actor? Am I good enough at this? Am I like, I just had so many doubts, so many like, you know, and it wasn't really, I think, for me until the pandemic, which was 2 years after I 2 years after I graduated college, like a year and a half, that I was still having a lot of doubt even after graduating. While auditioning, while doing some like small off Broadway theater shows here and there, taking improv classes, I was like, I don't know, am I supposed to be doing this acting thing? Like, what the fuck, you know? And at the same time, comparing myself to people who I went to school with, who I knew's parent, and this is not everybody, but like I knew that there were going to be people in school who like their parents are going to pay their rent as long as until they make it, or like until, and you know, staying stuck in the cycle of, well, fuck that, like fuck those people, like how am I supposed to get ahead if like I have to work a day job, I have to do all these things to like support myself, and then my acting comes second. Wasn't until the pandemic, really, when I was like dreaming about when the pandemic was over, and like that I would get to act in the future, that I would get to like that I sort of was like, okay, the world is shut down and all I want to do is do this thing. So
when did you graduate?
2018.
Okay, so like a little bit right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So, you know, it was finally in the pandemic when I accepted, like, dude, this is what, like, the world is literally shut down and you are still seeking this thing out. So that's great. And in the pandemic, I started working with a studio based in LA over Zoom, and that like really opened up my philosophy to like what acting is. Shout out to Crash Acting.
Crash Acting.
Zoom
based like coaching
class.
Or classes, yeah.
It was an acting class, yeah.
So I noticed on your Instagram you have a reel, and by reel I don't mean an Instagram reel. I mean like a acting reel.
Yeah.
Of a bunch of clips. Were those mostly like student films, or was this stuff that you were doing right after graduating or during school, or what was a lot of the stuff on your reel about?
Some of it is from a friend's film. Some of it is student films. Some of it, there's like a scene where I'm on the beach. That was something I put together because that was adapted from a play that I love, and I produced a stage reading of that play. And then the person that directed that is primarily a film director. Hi Desiree. So she was like, hey, if you want, we can like put this together. Like we could film this on the beach and like it could be part of your reel. So
nice. Okay.
that's
cool.
how that came to be. And then I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna tell the truth. You can also, there's a company here in New York called Real Arc, and they're based in New York and LA, and you can pay them to like write and film a scene for you.
Interesting. Very cool.
So I was at a point where I was like, yeah, I just need to like take some action to like have some material to like get to like send to agents and managers, and like I just should have material. So I also, paid for some. You got to do what you got to do.
It's the way it's done. So we were talking about you producing this play.
Yeah.
This is the first play you've ever produced?
It's the first full-length play I've ever produced. So I've produced like a reading, like I just said before, which is a staged reading is just like it happens one afternoon. You're sitting in a chair with your script, and like you can invite people. And we had a few rehearsals but this is the first full-length play, like a 65-page play in a venue with selling tickets.
What's step one of you even deciding to want to do this? Obviously, I'm guessing this is something you've thought about doing for a long time.
No.
Really?
No. I told my parents I was going to minor in producing, and I took some classes in college. I didn't want to produce. I'm okay. I'm a pretty good producer. I don't love producing because I'm in charge.
You don't like being in charge?
I don't. I do and I don't. I do like control. I do like the bringing people together. I do like bringing people together. It is nice being asked to do something and just having to show up and like say the lines and like do the thing, and then I can leave, and then I don't have to, I don't have to talk about all the very technical things that make a play happen.
Every little decision.
Yeah. And I think I took that for granted in plays that I've acted in where I've just acted. I took it for granted that was all I needed to do and just enjoy it. And I think I did. But, there's always the way my mind works when I've had those experiences, I was paying attention to like how people are interacting with each other. Like, how's the producer handling this? How's the director doing this? And like, I had a lot of ideas and opinions about what was being handled, incorrectly most of the time. But like, now being on this side of it, I'm like, oh man, the next time someone asks me to be in a project, like, I just can't wait to just show up and like do my job.
Wow.
And then chill, I think producing is good for my brain because
what if because here's the thing, perhaps we haven't mentioned, not only are you producing this play, you're acting in it too. Do you think that if you weren't acting in it, it would alleviate a lot of that onus, that pressure, that responsibility, or is
no? I don't want. I'm only producing this play so that I can act in it.
Wow. Okay.
If someone said to me, "Hey, can you produce this?" I would. I don't know that I would have said. Yeah, I don't know that I would have said yes. To be honest.
Got it.
Even if it was for money, I don't seek out. It's only for this character that I'm playing that I was like, I really want to play this character, and if I'm going to play her, then this is how I want to do it.
But this is your idea, right? You weren't approached to produce this play, right?
This
came
is
up with
me.
this, right?
Yeah.
So when did you finally decide, fuck it, I'm gonna do this?
Like November 2023 now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd been the idea sort of came to me in October.
First of all, for an idea to come to you in October and you to decide to take action a month later, like, kudos to you. That's pretty impressive.
Thanks.
I told you I'm the ultimate procrastinator. I had an idea for a podcast like 12 years ago, and I only started last year. Like, so.
Well, I think this is a long time coming.
Okay.
I think this idea was a long time coming because it took a lot of things happening. It took me leaving my corporate job. So I worked as an office manager for 3.5 years. I started working there before the pandemic. In the pandemic, they kept me on, and then as we opened up after the pandemic, I was still working there. So I was with them for 3.5 years.
I know that you used to work in dinner theater.
What
correct?
No.
Weren't you the dinner theater chick?
I worked at Drunk Shakespeare.
Oh, is that
which is not dinner theater. It's like a 90-minute take on Macbeth, but in a very comical way. And one of the actors like drinks throughout the whole show.
So there's always one actor on the show that's purposely getting trashed.
That's getting drunk. Yeah.
But this wasn't like so it wasn't dinner theater. These people were coming to see the show and sitting in. Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you do for that?
I was a server. I was a server there.
So they had servers.
Yeah.
So were they at tables?
No. They had they sort of have like it's in the round. They have these like just like seats, and you
is this still going on?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Drunk Shakespeare.
Interesting.
They're still around. They've been around a long time. So I left my corporate job, and then like 5 months later or so, I saw Drunk Shakespeare was hiring, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll do that. Like, this seems like a cool opportunity because Drunk Shakespeare had been performing in like bars across New York City for like 8 years, like a long time. And they're in different cities, like they're in Arizona, they're in Washington D.C. Like there are productions in a bunch of cities. So they opened up an off-Broadway theater in New York, and so the theater was hiring servers. So I was like, all right, like this is cool. And that's how I leveraged my job at the Cellar. Yeah, because I was like, yeah, I can do a 90-minute show with a 15-minute turnover. Like, I've done that for sure. So I left Drunk Shakespeare to work at the Cellar. So I was only at Drunk Shakespeare.
Did you just email Liz to get the job?
No, they were hiring on Craigslist.
Craigslist? That's how I got it too. I did a Craigslist.
They were hiring on Craigslist, and I went in and I talked to Liz. And
was anyone else hired at the same time as you?
No.
You were it.
I think someone had been hired like a month before me.
I think that was
who's no longer there.
Yeah, I think that was Mina. I think that was she.
We're naming names. Okay, I was like, renaming names.
She's no longer there. Yeah, she's no longer with us. She's alive. She just got fired.
Yeah.
No, she quit. Yeah, thank God, because they were gonna fire her anyways. So.
Yeah.
So I did a Craigslist thing too. And by the way, the moment I walked out from that interview, I texted my girl and I was like, well, I blew that one. Like I thought Liz didn't even make eye contact with me. I was like, I was a revolving door. She didn't give a fuck about me. Then I go to like train at this new job, and I get this like text from Liz like, can you come in tomorrow? I was like, yes. And I started finding coverage for my shift at work or whatever. But so all right, October you have an idea to produce a play. By November you already got the wheels in motion.
Not so much. October, I've been in this place of like, I mean, I get this job at the Cellar, but I got hired at the Cellar in August, and I'm trying to, I'd been writing some stuff. Like I had like this film idea that I'm still developing, but like taking a little bit of a break from, but like, I've been trying to be like, what do I need to do for myself creatively? And I've been thinking a lot about like, what is success for me as an actor? what would make me happy? What what is it? Like, I'm at a point where I'm, 5 years out of school. I'm going to be 6 years out of school, I think. Yeah, going to be 6 years out of school, which doesn't mean anything, but like, what do I have to show for that? And I'm not necessarily like an early career actor anymore, I don't think.
What does that mean? Early
Early career actors are technically like a year to 2 years out of school. You went to school, you got some training, and then you go out, you audition, hopefully you book stuff. And I'm past that. I've been taking classes. I've been taking all these classes. Like, I'm auditioning. This summer was the strike, and so I think the strike is also like what I'm looking at the industry, both in theater and film and TV, and I'm like, okay, what do I like? What is success to me? What is like, and there's a lot of shit out there that I don't like. I've been feeling for a long time, like, man, I'm not excited by what's on Broadway. I'm not excited about, like, yeah, there are some really great movies out this year, but I'm not excited about a lot of stuff. I'm excited about like my friend Ryan's play that I got to be in, and like, it's underground and it's independent, and it's like, that feels like taking a risk.
What play was that?
So we did 3 one-act plays in April called Daddy. It was the night was called Daddy Issues.
Daddy Issues. By Ryan who?
His name is Ryan Zerwanko.
I want to give him proper credit.
He runs Adult Film NYC, which is not porn. It's not porn.
I was about to say, an hour 55. We just got into the adult film portion of your.
It's not porn. Adult film is a
the
collective. It's the name of this collective.
It's a hell of a name.
Yeah.
Hey.
It's sophisticated, sexy theater and films, and the idea is that it's not,
So are you saying you've done
gatekeepy.
adult film?
No, I've done plays with adult film that are not pornographic.
Sounds like you've done adult film, Gia. That's what this podcast episode is now titled. I don't ever title my episodes so like it's done and I figure it out like midway. Adult film with Gia
Bonello.
Gia Bonello. There we go.
No, Ryan Zerwanko runs it, and adult film is based actually not.
Did he interview you on a casting couch by any chance? No
casting couch. We took acting classes in his apartment. He runs.
Oh wait, it was in his apartment. Acting classes in his apartment.
Well, they used to be in his apartment.
Film.
Now they're in the basement of his building. It's
None of
literally
this.
like 3 blocks away from here.
Okay. I wanted to give him credit, but I feel like I'm suddenly now just exposing a sex trafficking ring or something like that.
It's totally not that. I promise. I'm safe. I'm not blinking.
I'd blink
I'm
twice.
not blinking for safety.
You don't need an angel shot?
No, I'm good. I promise. Okay. I feel safe. But I'm excited by like stuff he's, some of the theater that he's making, and so before October, before this idea comes to me, I've been sitting with a lot of questions for myself, and I'm feeling like, well, I'm not like this like person right out of college that doesn't have experience under my belt. Like, I know that I know that I have the talent. I've been working at this for a while, and I don't want to go to grad school to like put in more training and hours in order to like do some plays, do a showcase there, and then get an agent. I'm like, I don't want to invest. I just don't want to go to grad school at this point in my life, and maybe that'll change. But I think I've been in a place where I'm like, if I'm gonna, these are like, I made a list and I was like, well, I really love these roles and these plays, and if I could just do that, if I could find a way to like have the experience of just working on a full play, Like, I feel like I'm going to gain more from that than like auditioning for grad school, getting into grad school.
So the role that you're playing in this play, that was one of the roles you had written down.
Yeah. Or it was a role. I mean, I read this play like in college. Like, I read this play, 7 years ago or something.
So I was about not to cut you off, but I feel like I've done that for 2 hours anyways. But when you told me the name of the play, I immediately like Googled it, looked into it. I was a little surprised. I don't know why. Perhaps it's just the high school student in me that thinks that every reading assignment has to be from like the 1940s or 1960s or whatever. When you told me Manuscript by Paul Grellong, 2006 is when it came out, right?
Yeah.
So to me, I was like, whoa. And this is how old I might fucking be. To me, I read 2006. I was like, this is brand new. It might be 18 years old, but I was like, oh shit, this is brand new, man.
Well, it's funny because we've been thinking about it as a period piece.
Oh my God, dude.
Which is, it's so gross, right? No. It's not. Well, look at.
I'm like, oh, I thought you were gonna come out with Death of a Salesman or something like that.
No, there's like they make a reference. Like, my character doesn't bring her cell phone the first night because it can't fit in her bag. So she like doesn't have a cell phone. She's like walking around, no cell phone.
What cell phone in 2006 doesn't fit in your bag? I was in high school.
She's wearing for the record, she does have like a very tiny purse. It's like an ultra tiny purse. It's a statement piece.
I say I had Nextels back in high school. I graduated in 05, all right? Like,
yeah, but like there, when you like looking at this play, these are it's about 3 college kids who find this manuscript, and 2 of them are writers. So they're like intellectual people to start with. Like, they're just like, they're smart kids, right? They're into books and shit. And it's funny, and like sitting with the play for the past like couple months, there is a level of conversation that they do that we don't do anymore. They really like talking. They really like the art of small talk and conversation and wordplay. Yeah, the characters do. And riffing that, like, when I read it and when we act it out, some of it is like some stuff we've had to cut because it's like our audience does not have the attention span. It's not going to have the attention span.
Oh, so you're cutting stuff out of the
a little bit.
Really?
Just a little bit. Nothing major, but like some lines that are just like, no one's going to get this reference, or like, some of they're like.
As the producer, is this your call, or is this the director's
we come up with it together. Like,
or?
We talk about it together.
Being who?
The actors and the director, and like.
It's a collaborative.
Yeah.
You're not a dictatorship over there.
I try not.
How
to
big
make it
is
the
I guess the cast, or the cast and crew? I wanted to get into that.
It's 5 of us.
5
total.
Like 5 people doing the whole play?
Yeah. So it's 3 of us. So me, Greg Melly, and Santiago Milan are the 3 actors involved. Carly, who
the original play Manuscript was a 3-person.
It's a 3-person play.
Okay.
It's a 3-person play. So we got 3 actors, and then Carly Hines, who also works at the Cellar. She's our stage manager. Hi, Carly.
Hey, Carly. I'll get you those figures. Don't worry.
Carly is like our production, literally like a 1-woman production team. She's doing the stage managing. She's doing the props. She's doing the costumes.
What goes into stage managing for a plebeian like me that does not understand that at all?
She's the person who,
besides asking me to bring her action figures to work one day.
That's props. That's more props. So
me.
that's her as a props person. She's in charge of that. A stage manager is the person who takes all the notes during the rehearsal of like where the director tells actors to go. The stage manager's taking notes the whole time. The stage manager usually sends a rehearsal report after the rehearsal to be like, this is all that we covered. The stage manager traditionally takes the schedules of everybody and like creates a rehearsal schedule.
Oh, wow.
So they are very type A.
Got it.
Very organized, and Carly is very organized, is always thinking
I've described
stuff.
Carly to my girl whenever, because Carly trained me on my first day ever.
Oh, wow.
At the comedy. My first day ever at the Comedy Cellar was on a Saturday night in the cellar. I did not get. There was no like morning shift at the cafe. No, it was like, let's see if this guy has what it takes. Saturday night cellar, go. And it was Carly and Tesla.
Oh man.
So
And they had Carly train you.
Tesla basically just cut fruit and was like, who's this new guy? And Carly didn't even know that she had to train anyone. And like the first thing out of her mouth was like, oh, wow, this is awesome. I've never trained anyone before. I've been a bartender for like 4 months. And I was like, great, let's get into it,
Yeah.
And she just took charge of the whole thing. And I actually thought it was a very productive training day. I got in and started making drinks the very first night. I've described Carly to my girl as like a workhorse. Like she gets in and like she just gets shit done.
Yeah.
And part of it is I always have to be like, she's 23 though, which is kind of nuts, like she's 23, but like she's training me, this fucking, at the time 35, now 36-year-old fucking guy that's been in the industry for like 7-8 years now. And she's doing something that was giving me anxiety just watching her do. And I'm like, how am I ever going to do this? And then I jumped in and did it like by the end of the shift or whatever.
Yeah.
So like, I think that when I heard she was your stage manager, I didn't know what the fuck that meant, but I knew you had a workhorse on your side. So that's good for you as a producer. I thought you I thought you put a good tool in your work belt.
Absolutely.
There.
Carly has been fantastic this whole rehearsal process.
Nice.
Truly could not have done this without her.
Oh,
truly,
nice.
I mean, they're always thinking about whatever, if I'm not thinking about something, they are. And Carly's just so on it, shows up to every rehearsal and has really great feedback, is like takes really good care of like everything that's been happening. So yeah, the fact that this is happening is in huge part because of Carly.
Nice. I look forward to seeing how that turns out.
Yeah.
So you have not just Carly, but Greg.
Yeah.
On as a cast member.
Yes.
Before we even get talking to Greg, how did the process go in reaching out to coworkers to see if they'd even be interested in doing something with you?
I didn't really consider that I was gonna when I was thinking about, I want to do this play, I need to get people together to do it. I wasn't like, I work at the Comedy Cellar. That was the last thing on my mind. The first thing on my mind was I need a director, and I need a director.
Which I'm gonna ask you about today.
Yeah,
I have some notes on that too.
Yeah. Allison is wonderful.
Yeah.
So the first things on my mind, well, before even a director, I did need a cast, and I'm like, okay, I need people. Actually,
I'm gonna cut you off a little bit. Let's get into that. You decide you're gonna produce a play.
Yeah.
You said you need, before you even have a director, you said you need a cast. Is there something that comes before that? What are the steps that you took to make this happen? Because I remember we talked about how the venue kind of, in a way, I don't know if you would describe it this way, fell into your lap a little bit, or maybe you just lucked out on it.
I definitely lucked out.
Did the venue come first? Okay.
No. For me, and I think it works differently for different productions. For me, the cast came first.
Okay.
And I
So essentially, you are the casting director for this, since you don't have one, right? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And I wanted to just, for me, I was like, okay, I think I want to do this play. Let me get a couple people together to even hear it before I really decide I'm going to do this.
Hear it, like hear your idea,
hear the play read. I just wanted to get a bunch of people in. I wanted to do,
So to even get people in that room, you have to throw out this idea that, hey, I want to put together a play, but I don't even.
Yeah, and I was pretty clear. Like, I'm thinking about producing this. I just want to hear it. Let me know if you're like.
So who
if you're interested,
did you invite for that then?
The two people who ended up being in this, Greg
and
Santiago.
Santiago, his last name is
Milan.
Santiago Milan. Okay.
Yeah, and I had not met Santiago personally before.
Oh, so how did you even reach out?
Well, I'd seen him in a friend's play, and I'd seen him in a couple plays in New York in the downtown, like independent theater scene a few times. And I was like, he's good. And I had this part. I was like, thinking about this part. I was like, I think he can play the role of David. I think he can do it. And so I got his email from my friend who he worked with, and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this play. Mm-hmm. I want to hear it first. I want to like get some people together to read it. Like, let me know if you're interested. And luckily he was.
Nice.
I was having a harder time coming up with ideas for the character that Greg is playing, and his name is Chris.
Ideas meaning what?
Actors that I knew could like do it.
So what finally led you to asking Greg to even be involved in it?
I needed someone.
Desperation?
Yes. I was so desperate. I needed someone who was preppy or could be preppy. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't say that Greg leads with preppy. I think Greg is a pretty like grounded, down to earth, like laid back person. Yeah. But
when I hear he's from Philly, I'm like, that makes sense.
Yes. Yes.
But
the suburbs of Philly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Philly poser, you know, like he's a he pretends to be from Philly.
Yeah,
he's like someone from Long Island that says, "Well, I'm from New York City." Like, no,
right.
no,
exactly,
you're not.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. That is Greg. That just perfectly describes Greg. But
Greg is the Long Island of Philly. Essentially, yeah, he's gonna love that.
But yes, what I think the important thing about this character that Greg is playing. He's a dude's dude. He's a boy's boy.
Got it.
And I knew that Greg is a boy. I was like, Greg is a boy's boy.
I knew Greg is a boy. So
and he could be a boy's boy. I knew that Greg is a boy. And so I decided, well, I'll set the bar low and he can do this. But,
how did you know Greg was right for the role? Well, I knew he was a boy. Pretty much it.
That's it.
Nice.
The rest is history. Yeah.
Well, the only reason I ask about that, like this portion, is because I don't know if you realize, but me asking you to be on this show, I was nervous to do that. And I had to like psych myself up to ask you to be, if you wanted to be on the show. And the reason I bring that up is because I can only imagine you're not even sure if you're going to produce this play. You're reaching out to people. You're an email to someone you've never met is one thing.
Sure.
Approaching a coworker that you see every day. Was there any psyching yourself up? Did you feel like you were putting yourself out there at all? What was that like? Because part of me is like, what if Greg's like, no, not my thing, and then you feel like you have egg on your face or something, you know, like.
I mean, I knew it was a risk that he could be like, I'm not really into that.
Right.
I think it felt more nerve-wracking for me to ask Jack and Greg to go to an open mic with me.
Oh, wow.
Which happened before.
Right. So
than it did for me to be like, hey, do you want to do this reading? Do you want to like read this play?
So you actually reached out to them to do an open mic with you.
Yeah, just like go.
Right.
Just like go to an open mic.
Oh, it's nice of them that they did it, yeah.
It was super nice. Mm-hmm. Super generous. I think Jack offered at first when I first started working there, and I really appreciated that because and so I think that helped that I had that sort of like, oh, we could, you know,
that's definitely an icebreaker for sure.
Yeah. Definitely an icebreaker. And I kind of was, you know, it kind of felt low stakes at that point.
Okay.
Because it was just like, I'm just going to hear this. I'm just going to see I'm just gonna see.
Where'd you guys do this? The reading.
We read. Do you know Love Story Bar?
Isn't that right around
It's
here?
like I'm telling you. So Adult Film, the Not Porn Theater Collective, they used to rent space underneath Love Story Bar.
What? That's like 2 blocks from here,
Yes,
basically. Yes,
literally.
Oh my god.
Before they now Adult Film has moved into the
Hold on.
basement.
I thought that. So here's the thing that bugs me about Love Story Bar is that ever since I've moved here, that place has like looked like it's been closed. And then one day I was walking, like the L train wasn't coming to Halsey, and I had to get off at Myrtle Wyckoff.
And
I walked it, and it was past 4, and there was music blasting from Love Story Bar, and I was like, "What is happening?" I thought it was closed, and then my girl sends me this picture that says like they have like a $2, $5 open bar or some shit like that, and I'm like, "This is
their
not."
happy hour is crazy. They have like a $2 happy hour.
This
like,
is nuts.
Yes.
All right, Love Story. I'm hitting you up real soon. So you did this. So Love Story is like open like normally now, or like what's going on?
Yeah. It's a bar, but underneath the bar, they have like a space that like bands can rent out. So like they rent out like if Love Story Bar is like on the top level, and then if you go down these stairs, they have like a venue, and so like bands can rent
Love
it
Story's
out.
on the ground level,
Yeah.
and then downstairs is like the dope shit always sounds like it's coming from the downstairs. I'm not gonna lie. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, you blew my
So
mind
we
with
just
this.
like went in there one morning like before work, and we like just read the play together. And the guys.
Dumb question. How long does
interested.
it take to read the play from beginning to end? 'Cause
The play runs like an hour and 40-ish minutes, give or take. I think it took like 2 hours, like for us to like sit down and like.
Because I'm the worst
2
reader.
hours.
Like my girl reads books all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how. Like I'm like, how is this happening? Or hold on a second.
Yeah.
I realize that this is not recording.
Ooh.
So yeah, I have no idea what the fuck we were talking about before. But we were talking about casting this play, 5 people. I was asking if you felt like it was a ordeal, or like you had to psych yourself up to ask coworkers to get into this.
Yeah. I didn't feel that way about asking Greg. And Carly, after I Greg, me and Santiago like met up and read it, and I had sort of loosely pitched to the guys. I was like, so I just want to hear this out loud, and I want to see if it's something that I feel good about doing, if you guys would feel good about doing, and like we can talk about like if this is something I want to do it in January. I would want to do it like in a townhouse, in an actual townhouse.
You
and not
wanted that
in a
from the
theater.
beginning.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, because the play that's where the play takes place in.
Manuscript takes place
in a townhouse. And I like site-specific stuff. I like
It's crazy that ended up happening then. Like you got
yeah.
Because for those of you guys that don't know, the play is not going to take place in a theater. It's taking place in a townhouse. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm very grateful to my friend Kyle, who is allowing us to like use her home as for the play.
Sure. Yeah.
For multiple nights. So thank you, Kyle.
That's kind of nuts.
It's insane. And it feels very magical that it's happening in the way that it's happening. Mm-hmm. I don't take that for granted one bit. Yeah. In terms, Carly became to be involved because I think Greg was telling her about it, and Carly texted me like, "Hey, if you need a props person or like
that's funny,
or like a costume person, I hear you're doing a play. Like I'm super interested."
So you didn't even have to approach her for it.
No.
Were you planning on doing all that shit like yourself before she reached out, or what?
I knew I was gonna need a person. So when I reached out to my director, Allison Flom, who is amazing, who also has a podcast out.
Oh, don't worry. I'm going to ask you about that.
Erased.
So,
Allison and I also like hadn't seen each other in years.
So you knew her.
I took one improv class with Allison.
Wow. Okay.
Right before the pandemic. Like literally 1 week before COVID shut New York City down is when Allison and I took this class.
Okay.
at the Brooklyn Comedy Collective, and I had her on been following her on social media. I knew that she directed, and when I was thinking about this play, like I sort of
you knew you didn't want to direct.
I knew I didn't want to direct for sure, and I knew I would need a stage manager because as a producer already, I'm like, that's shit I have to think about that is not acting. And the more shit I have to think about that is not acting, the worse it is for me as an acting. Because I can easily be like, oh, well, I need to prioritize the technical producery stuff over the creative artistic stuff. So and Allison, when we spoke, was like, I really would like I need nothing else, but I do need a stage manager. Like, it would be helpful to me as a director. Yeah, she said it would be helpful to her as a director.
Let's talk a little bit more then about Allison Flom.
Flom. Flom. Yeah.
Okay. So, I had no idea about her until today.
Yeah.
When you you posted on your IG story that you were coming here to record this podcast today, and then your very next IG story was like, speaking of podcasts.
Yeah.
And so she wrote, produced, and directed a 6-part true crime podcast about a murder that took place in the 1800s.
Yes.
You've listened to this podcast?
I've listened to a couple of episodes of it, yes.
Okay. And I don't know. I literally learned about this like an hour before you got here. And I was just kind of flabbergasted that this podcast was being talked about like on Late Night with Seth Meyers. There was, I forgot what actress was on there for some reason.
Allison Williams is
one. Why was she talking about the podcast on Seth Meyers?
She is the voice of, and I forget the name of the woman.
Because the
podcast is about Elma Sands.
It's a true crime podcast, but it's a little bit different from like regular true crime, where it's like a dramatic portrayal.
It's almost like an audio drama,
right?
And a podcast in between. So Allison Williams is playing the role of Elma Sands' cousin.
Okay.
And the podcast is about the trial,
right?
About the trial for the murder of Elma Sands. And so there are different there are different people voicing different characters, like witnesses. Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr were
her like attorneys or something, right?
They were the defense attorneys,
right? Okay,
for the guy who committed the murder.
And this is, like I said, this is essentially a true crime.
Yeah.
Portrayal. So this really happened.
This really happened in New York City.
Yeah.
Allison says at the beginning of the first episode of Erased, Allison is a licensed tour guide in New York City and came across the site where Elma Sands was killed in a clothing store in Soho. Mm-hmm. This is like a real place, and people don't know anything about it. You know. No idea. You go to Soho and you go shopping, and like, but a woman,
she tried,
was like, she did try to go shopping. And so, you know, it is her like love of history and like her dedication to like telling the story that has like birthed this awesome podcast.
Yeah. And it was a successful podcast. Like it did well. It did really well. It was like top 10 in downloads and shit like that. Like it was like, it wasn't like my podcast that no one listens to. It was like people actually paid attention. Yeah. I mean, for you to get promoted on Late Night with Seth Meyers with the actress portraying the one of the main characters. I mean, I was immediately, my antennas went up. I was like, oh, Gia roped herself a legit person here to direct this play. Like you're not playing around here.
Yeah. So, I mean, I really believe in Allison's vision, though I haven't seen. I mean, aside from listening to the podcast, like I haven't seen a lot of what Allison has directed. My interaction with her has been online, and then in an improv class. But I was willing to take a risk, and I was like, why not? Like, I'm doing something that is I hope super interesting, you know, and I mean, Allison came on board, I think because she thought it was interesting, and I'm grateful to her for that. But I feel like I'm taking a risk not doing this in a traditional theater. I'm producing, I'm also, when I say like I'm producing, I am organizing, putting, you know, a cast together, involving the director, like getting people involved. I'm also paying for rehearsal space.
Right.
My hope is to pay the actors.
I was gonna ask
paying the actors.
I was gonna ask without being too intruding, like
No.
about finance for this shit, like because it feels like a large undertaking.
Yeah, I mean it's coming. You know, I've set a budget for myself, and we are staying within budget, but it's not a huge. I mean, the fact that the venue is a big worry, and the fact that like a friend of mine is offering to let us like use her home is really wonderful, and like I so appreciate. You know, and Allison has like stepped up and like made the beautiful poster that we have online, and like so I'm very lucky that, you know, everyone involved knows what this is.
Yeah.
It's like, we want to do this because we love doing it, and they're, you know, fully with me. So and I want as many people to see it as I can, which is why I'm keeping ticket prices low, because I don't, you know, I think that's part of the problem with theater today. And Broadway tickets to a Broadway show are like $80 a person,
and that's if you're sitting somewhere shitty. Like
yeah right.
I've looked into it. My girl wants to go to Harry Potter. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's like not eat out for like 4 weeks then. No problem.
Yeah. It's so expensive, and even off-Broadway stuff is so expensive, and I'm like, no, like this should be, you know, accessible. Everyone should be able to see this, and like, you know, so yeah, tickets are $20, and then if you want to sit on the floor on like pillows and blankets, they're $10.
I laughed at that when I was looking at because I was gonna buy tickets last night, and then I was cutting it too close with clocking into work, so the plan is me and my girl are planning to go to the Thursday show. It's
thanks.
When does it? So before we even get into that, when does it debut?
We open Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Wednesday, January 24th.
All right, this is gonna be dropping on a Sunday, so that means in 3 days, 3.5 days, Wednesday, until Sunday, January 28th. We have 6 performances. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We have 2 performances on Saturday, one in the afternoon at 2:00 and one at 7:00 in the evening. And then Sunday is the last day. Nice. And we got our schedule last night, I believe. And I saw that Thursday was the one night that the show's out that I'm off. So pretty sure that's the night that I'll be going. I can't have the producer of the show on my show and then just fuck off when your show's on. No, I'll be there. Don't worry.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. But it did make me laugh when I saw, because it says like, you know tickets to play $20, and then it says floor seats $10, and normally I'd be like, wow, the floor seats are the cheapest seats in the show. Interesting. But I remember you told me floor seats is a very literal term. Yeah. You are literally on the floor on a pillow, but it's half the price. So if you don't want to pay $10 for it, you know, just sit on the floor for $10. It doesn't seem too bad.
That's my hope.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I'm definitely paying the $20 for the seat, and part of me feels like I'm gonna like end up sitting on the floor anyways. I don't know why. Like,
well, you're allowed to make yourself
to feel
comfy.
cozy. Yeah, I'm just gonna be a douchebag that just lays down on fucking on a couple of seats.
Comfy as you want, man.
Yeah, I asked my girl. I was like, "Do you want to go to this?" And she's like, "We never do theater stuff." And I was like, "All right, just so you know." This isn't fucking, you know, Harry Potter in Times Square, right? We're doing like some underground shit. We're doing
That's right.
Gritty, real theater, okay?
In a townhouse.
That's right.
It's as gritty as you can get, guys.
That's absolutely right. So I wanted to, I was like, and also it's not next door. Like, we're going into Brooklyn for this shit, all right? Like, we are in Brooklyn, but we're going deeper into Brooklyn.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
like,
yeah. You're going from East Side to West Side.
Actually, like, I would have an easier time getting there from work, is what I.
Yes, you would.
If you're downtown Manhattan, no problem. You're right.
Oh my God, yeah.
But I'm excited because I've definitely never seen a play in a townhouse. I'm guessing, I don't know, intimacy is a real big thing, I'm guessing, in a situation like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got your venue pretty, I'm guessing luck is a word you'll use there, or if anything, at least it wasn't a hurdle for you that you were expecting it to be. Casting seemed to kind of work itself out.
Yeah.
Your crew is you and Carly, it seems, and your director.
And Allison, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like it's all kind of coming together. How have your rehearsals gone?
Rehearsals have been going really well. Really well. It's a talky play. These are people who are like really smart and are very
the characters or the actors?
The characters.
I was about to say, because if Greg's one of these characters, if Greg's one of these actors,
I would argue to be a comic, you have to be pretty articulate and pretty smart.
He would too.
So,
Greg,
I'm with Greg on this one.
One of my favorite things Greg has ever said to me was when I told him that I didn't like a movie that he liked. His reply to me, like dead serious too. It wasn't one of his jokes. He just looked at me. He goes, "That's because you don't like cinema."
I'm not surprised.
He's like, "Well, Will, that makes sense to me because you don't seem like you like cinema." And the way he said cinema. But you know what my reply to him was? I was like,
what?
Honestly, my favorite franchise is Fast and Furious, so no argument here. He's like with his fucking little police mustache. He's like, see, I knew it. I knew it. That's why. Then he listens to some joke. He's like, great tag. What a great punchline. Such a good joke.
In the service bar?
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
What a great joke that was.
What was the movie?
Great tag. I remember specifically because I had just seen it like 2 days prior. It's a Netflix movie with Julia Roberts.
Leave the World Behind.
That's exactly what it was. Why? Has he spoken to you about this movie?
We've spoken about it. I saw the movie and I told him, I was like, I didn't give a fuck about any of those people.
Oh, so you're his producer.
I did think the ending was
Gia,
pretty good.
You know what this means, Gia?
Tell me.
You just don't like cinema.
Unfortunately.
And you're producing him? You're producing him? Greg, you're better than this. Get with a producer that loves cinema. I mean, like, what are you?
What are you doing? Like, literally, what are you doing?
You just don't like cinema, bro. Furrows his mustache at me.
Oh, Greg.
Greg has a way of saying shit that is so insulting that will just make you laugh.
Yes.
And
yes.
I think that's his greatest talent. Not his acting, not his comedy. It's just being insulting and not making people hate him for it. Like I think it's because he comes off as so unthreatening, you know, like. Well,
Greg, I think
I'm more afraid of Jack than I am of Greg for sure. So.
Oh, I can see that. I think something about Greg Melly that when I first started working at the Cellar, and I continue to be very like, I watch him, and like he is so relaxed. He's so relaxed in an environment that it can feel very high stress or can feel like very high stakes. I mean, yeah.
It is. For sure.
It is. And he manages to just be like so relaxed. And it's a couple of the guys who are comics. They're very relaxed. Talking to comics, they're very relaxed.
Yeah.
Talking to customers. And it could be that they're dudes.
You're talking about him and Zach, aren't you?
I am talking about him and Zach. Yeah, they're both very relaxed.
By the way, listen to Zach's new podcast, with Zach Gish. Episode 2 just dropped the other night with Seductive, his part. I've listened to all 2 episodes of your podcast, Zach.
Hell yeah,
Keep
Zach.
It going.
And Zach is kind of a wonderkin to me, too. Zach is like...
that fucking young, fucking successful bastard.
That guy is like... just trekking along, doing the thing. I really admire that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how like Zach seems so laid back and so like what you're saying, so like minimal effort, so chill. But then you talk to him and you're like, so what did you do today? He's like, I woke up at 7 a.m. and went to the gym and just started writing jokes.
First I wrote, and then I went to the gym, and then I wrote some more, and then I ate something, and I'm like, okay.
I didn't do that this month. God, Jesus Christ, Zach. And he's like, yeah. And then this weekend I'm going on tour in Florida, in Chicago, and Iowa. And I'm like, my God, I'm thinking about going to a restaurant around the corner.
Yeah.
And this guy is like, oh yeah, man. And, you know, I went to school. I played D1 college football or whatever. I had 4 concussions. I killed it. I'm an athlete. I'm a comedian. I'm all this shit, you know. And I'm very cool, you know. Like, fuck, Zach, effortless cool pisses me off.
Oh,
but,
man.
You know. Oh, with Zach Gish. Greg was on the second episode, too.
Yes.
Which, you know, he made sure that I knew about at work, so. So
maybe you'll get to go on next, Will.
On his podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or he can be here.
I'll have him on my podcast. I don't think that I'm good enough to be on his podcast. I'll just promote his podcast and shit. He's gonna have much better guests. Not that you're not a good guest. I mean, he's gonna have like comedians on his guest.
Yeah, of course.
And duck owners with millions of followers.
Yeah.
So as we wrap things up here, you locked yourself down a solid cast.
Yeah.
A stage manager that turned out to be a huge help.
Yeah.
A director who has a successful true crime podcast.
I do want to say she is more than that. I think Allison's strength is really like lifting up the people around her. And just really like honing in on you shine when you do this. How can we play to your strength? I think that's Allison's strength as a director, is knowing how to play to everybody's strengths and how to sort of like talk to everybody.
Okay.
And that's been like something that's been really great to work with her.
Because I've heard this phrase a lot, playing to your strengths. What do you think that means in a directorial role?
I think it's watching someone a few times, knowing, okay, this is what they're good at. Mm-hmm. This thing that they do, how can I give them feedback that is using the good,
right,
and helping them sustain it throughout a whole performance.
It's also knowing how to give that feedback too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And she just seems adept at that.
And I mean, she's some great like exercises for us to like.
Really? You guys are doing exercises
at the beginning, or just like, you know, like how to getting into your character. Like, okay, get into the body of your character and like, let's do an interview. Like once she did an interview with me, she like interviewed me as my character. And that was like super fun and like enlightening. And
wow.
I've been someone, I can't speak for the guys, but I mean, Carly and Allison and I have a group chat just for like production stuff. But then I will like voice memo Allison and I'm like, okay, so I read the play today and I think this and this and this and this and this, and I think I need to do this and I want you to hold me accountable. And Allison is very like graciously listened to all of my like very long voice messages and then like, and is like, and we'll be like, okay, feeding off of that. I also think these things and these things. And what if we try this?
Right.
And that's been really, really great and helpful.
So she has a really, it sounds like Allison's really good at communicating with the cast.
Yeah.
Knowing what to say to get what she wants.
Yeah.
In a way, I've besides directors trying to put forth a vision, I've heard a lot of their job is managing the cast and crew, essentially.
Yeah.
Getting what you can out of them. Have you guys had what are some of the highs and some of the lows that you've experienced so far in the rehearsals, in the process?
I think a low would just be memorizing.
Really?
Because it's a lot of dialogue to memorize. It's a lot of dialogue to memorize, and not being in school and like doing a lot of plays that are short shorter plays, it's like, oh, right, like this is right. It's muscle memory. It's muscle memory. It's like training your brain to like retain 60 pages worth of information.
Mm-hmm.
And Santiago, shout out to Santiago, who has the most lines in the play, is probably the most talky character and is like fucking kicking ass at memorizing lines.
That's always bugged me out, is how you guys are able to memorize lines. I've always, even when I went to class to do comedy, I was like, how am I going to remember my 5 minutes?
Do you feel like having written it helped you more with remembering it?
For sure,
yeah. Because you know where you can sort of be like, oh, right, it goes here.
It's less of me like feeling like I memorized it and more of me feeling like I know when I say this line, my next line is this.
Yeah. And
my punchline is that. And then, I know I go right from that into this. So I don't look at it as I just memorized, it's that because I have written out my 5 minutes that I'm going on stage with. I've written it out line for line with literal state. Like I give myself stage instructions and like I tell myself act exasperated, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's probably like, I don't know. I've never counted it, but maybe 60 to 100 to 150 lines of actual shit that I've written that only goes into 5 minutes. But I don't look at it as I memorized, 80 lines of dialogue or of me talking. I look at it as I know what my jokes were here and that it leads into this and it leads into that. But I never even thought I was going to be able to do that. But to me, I don't know, that still seems like easier or like a cop-out compared to like just memorizing lines of a play, except maybe you guys are looking at it the same way. Like, I know when I say this, he's going to say that. Or whenever he says this, I know my reply is going to be that or whatever.
I think for me right now, like in this play, it's helping me, memorizing the lines has been like, oh, it's really helping me get into the mind of this character because I'm finding that like a lot of the lines have clues in them. So if I like clue myself in, then it's helping me like get to know the character. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to say this and then they're going to say this and then they're going to, and it's sort of this, it's really helping me like get into the character more, just like knowing them. So, I mean, memorizing is hard. That's why I said it's like a low for us or like a low.
During your rehearsals, you guys are realizing like you're forgetting lines a lot.
I don't know that it's that I think a little bit of that, a little bit of like talking over each other, a little of like, and I think that's normal for where we are right now. So I'm not like super worried about it. I think a high, is that we still keep finding new things to like play with, and new things to be like, oh, this moment doesn't have to like always be this way one time. That we can like find new things and make and like continue to like flesh stuff out and play is the exciting thing to me about this whole process.
It sounds almost like you're hitting on a little bit of improvisational acting there, I guess, or trying to find something that.
I think it's like, I think it's being open enough and being present enough to be like to be like the line doesn't have to be this said in this way every single time.
Got it.
Like
yeah.
If I just breathe and I'm and like if I'm open and responding to like what's actually happening, and if like someone makes a face at me one time that is like different than it's been, then I'm gonna riff with that.
Yeah.
And and like play with that. Still saying the lines, but like going off a different, maybe like a different tone of an emotion.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you feel like this experience has brought you guys closer together? Or do you hate them more now? Are you more annoyed? Do you not want to spend any more time with Greg? Because I understand that too.
Never again.
Yeah, I'm never.
All of any shift I have with Greg Melly from here on out, I'm giving up. I'm trading out of it. I want nothing to do with that guy.
Sounds about right.
I'm sure he'd feel the same way. After we closed the olive tree last
That's
night
right.
together.
That's so funny that you guys were the ones left
We
in the
rehearsed
cafe
and
last
then
night.
worked
Spent the entire
8
shift.
hours
Jesus
together last
Christ.
night.
If you go through a play rehearsal and then work an 8-hour shift, minimum 8 hours, probably longer, at the Olive Tree Cafe, which is essentially where all the comedians hang out for the Comedy Cellar, like, yeah, you've had a bonding experience there.
Yeah.
So, all right, these tickets are on sale right now.
Tickets are on sale right now.
There will be a link on my Instagram. I will put a link up every day from here until the play is done.
Thank you, Will.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's plug not just what's your social media.
Yeah.
Let's get that out there.
My social media is at just like Chia. Like Chia, because my name is Gia. So at just like Chia is my Instagram.
I apologize
tickets.
for that delivery. That was the most cringe-worthy portion of my podcast.
That's the promo for this thing. Yeah, so tickets
Just like Chia.
Yeah.
So just like CHIA.
Yeah.
At just like Chia.
On Instagram.
Yep.
Tickets are in the link to my bio there.
The dates?
Dates are January 24th to January 28th, 6 performances throughout those 5 days. You can follow me there. You can follow Allison Flom, our director, at Allison Flom. You could follow castmates at Greg Melly, at Santiago Milan, and at Carly Hines.
Geez, they all got their fucking names as their... Man, you guys nice. I had to be I'm Will Bryant because someone took Will Bryant.
But you are Will Bryant, not them. It's you. It's you.
And I branded the shit. I'm Will Bryant.
It's you.
3
and I want to
words.
thank you for having me on. I really
course.
appreciate it. I'm very honored to be
honored. That's the word.
to
that
be
should
on this podcast.
Never
Seriously.
be used.
That you asked me, I was like, oh my God, I've never been on a podcast before. And it was really thoughtful of you to invite me. So thank you.
I'm
Seriously.
very glad. I look at it as you doing me the favor because I said that my goal for 2024 was to not be so tentative in reaching out to people being on this show. I always wanted a lot of guests on this show, but I thought it would be a little forward of me to ask people to be on a show that that I have no episodes of or like that they don't know is going to be consistent. So I truly did my podcast for almost an entire year. In about 2 weeks, it's going to be my 1-year anniversary of the show. Thank you. I wanted to put out a show every week and just show that I was doing this for sure, that I was consistent and that it was going to come out so that if I ever did finally reach out to people on a consistent basis, because I've only had about 2 guests on the show so far, and they both reached out to me.
Yeah.
I wanted to be at a point when I reached out to people that if they ever did what you did and, researched me a little bit, that they'd see more than 5 episodes, you know, that they knew like, oh, he does this every week. Oh, he puts content out every week. Like this is a thing. So I wanted to establish that first. And then even though we looked at each other and said that January 1st is a nominal day and doesn't really matter, I told myself starting this new year, put myself and this show out there more and invite people to be on it. And when you were talking about this play and Greg was talking about it and Carly was talking about it, I was like, this seems like a very easy fucking like layup. Like I have a coworker that's producing a play. Why not have her on the goddamn show? And I was nervous to ask you to be on it. So the fact that you were so even honored or whatever to be on it, I felt like you did me the favor. So thank you, Gia, for being on my show. I appreciate that. And I am excited to go see this show. I'm going next Thursday. This is coming out Sunday, so that means in 4 days I will be there. If anyone wants to come with me, hit me up. We'll go together. If not, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 2 shows on Saturday, and once again on Sunday. Friday's
selling out pretty quick,
nice.
So get on that. But yeah, we got tickets, so come on through. I appreciate you.
Listen, I think it's going to be a good time. If you're the type of person that doesn't have any culture in your life and you want to maybe step your life up a little bit, this might be a good opportunity to do that. Once again, thank you, Gia, so much for doing this show. I appreciate you so much. Once again, just plug your social medias so that they remember that shit, because I always drill it.
At Just Like Chia, just like CHIA. That's me, Gia Bonello.
And for
follow me there.
No, shut up. Now it's my turn to talk. So for my people,
your only child is showing.
It finally came out. My listeners know how I end the show. Do me a favor, follow me on all my platforms. That's Instagram, that's Twitter. X, TikTok, Twitch. Follow my playlists on Spotify. I'm on Threads. All that shit. It's at I'm Will Bryant. That's 3 words. I'm Will Bryant, Bryant, like Kobe. You don't know, but that's my send off. I do that every show. Fuck off. Thank you guys. Thank you, Gia. Come see the show. Check both our profiles. The link will be in our stories every day till the show comes out. Until next time, guys. Peace.
Thanks, Will.